Coffee first and Paris by noon. Private yacht beneath the moon. 6'4" with movie star eyes. Reads her thoughts without surprise. Owns a house before 33. Works 4 hours, financially free. Kind and funny, bold yet shy. Always knows the reason why. Everybody's holding the same old dream. Different profiles and routine. Copy, paste another list. Searching for a perfect mate. Sky high standards touching the stars. Looking for astronauts driving sports cars. Every wish list reaches the sky. Still asking why the good ones pass by. Sky high standards higher each day. Everyone chasing the very same place. Maybe perfection never arrives. Maybe real people make better lives. Fluent in 6 exotic tongues, writes love poems, still stays young. Master chef with millionaire pay, answers every text right away. Adventure weekends every week, strong but gentle, humble yet unique. Never jealous, never late, apparently designed by fate. Another swipe, another clone, another prince behind the phone. Everybody starts the same, everybody playing one game. Sky high stands touching the stars, looking for astronauts driving sports cars. Every wish list reaches the sky, still asking why the good ones pass by. Sky high stands higher each day, everyone chasing the very same play. Maybe perfection never arrives, maybe real people make better lives. What is up? What is up? Laughing man, what is up, my brother? What is up, guys? Every Wednesday I try to do a panel show, right? So if you have a disagreement, you can call up, right? If you have a disagreement, if you seen any of my shorts, any of my videos, and you disagree with me, here's your chance, right? You could call up. I mean, you know, you don't have to have a camera, right? But have a mic. Okay. You can always call up if you want to have a debate on any disagreements, or if you want to react to some videos that I'm watching, you can react along with me. All right. I don't mind. We could talk about anything and everything if I have an opinion on it. Laughing man, what is up, my brother? What is up? Yeah. So if you have an opinion on anything, I mean, we could always talk about it, right? If I have an opinion on it, so I could, if you ever feel like it. So every Wednesday is a call-in show, right? Every Wednesday, a call-in show. If you want to talk, if you want to, whatever. Yes, yes, my brother. Thank you for all the support, right? Thank you for the love and support. You are amazing. Right? I love it. All right. So, today I have a video from an interview with Nick Fuentes. Now, I don't really care for Nick Fuentes, right? I think he's a true grifter, right? I think he doesn't really stand on his words, nor does he have the what is it? The maturity, the maturity, the strength, or the mindset to, what, if he's wrong, he admits it, or if he changes his mind, or if he feels like he's done, anything in the past that was not up to stuff, right? He admits his wrongs. I think a true man would admit his flaws. So, but we'll check it out. We have some videos tonight. We'll have a video. Yes, you're better, my brother. You're better. All right, let's get started.
this is, why now? What made you want to sit down for this kind of interview?
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have all of us here. And, I think it's a moment in our country when there's a lot of realignment. I think that people recognize, especially in the past couple of years, I'm like a non-conventional critic, maybe, of what's happening. And so I think it'll be an interesting, productive conversation. I think it'll be different.
But I mean, specifically, because we kind of share a publicist, I heard that you wanted to kind of... Okay, we have a publicist that you hit up, and you said that you wanted to talk to someone who would give you kind of a fair shot to like clear up some things and maybe some misconceptions about you and the things you believe.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that I'm somebody who, I think, like you, actually, maybe we have this in common, is kind of pigeonholed in a certain way for things that we've done in the past or things that we've said.
I'm a crackhead.
But I'm racist, right?
I got pigeonholed there. Mine is true. Yeah.
Mine's a little true, maybe a little no. But yeah, so I think it'd be good to clear out some of the misrepresentations and.
This is a thing where. I guess I want to clear things up too. My opinions, right, about my criticism, my takes on the Black community, I'm always the pushback is that I'm racist, right? No, I'm not racist. I will hold you accountable for your actions and words. I don't give a shit really about your skin color. I give a shit about what you say. This is why when you see my videos, when you see my takes, my criticisms, I have a video that goes along with it, right? This is why I said I'm a reaction. I'd rather be in the whole reaction channel because I'm going to show you the video and what I'm talking about. All right? It's not like I'm making shit up. It's not like, oh, I'm just saying Black people this, Black people. No, I'm saying, you see this? Yeah, this is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. So I'm not just saying, oh, because of Black people this. No. I'm showing you what's the problem. I'm showing you what I'm talking about. And here's the thing where it's a funny thing where, so most of the people who are critics of mine, right, they will just attack me, say you're racist, you're this, you're that. Why is an Asian man talking about this? And yet, rarely do they talk about the subject matter, right? Rarely do they talk about the things I say or the videos I'm showing, right? Rarely do they. Because they know that what I'm saying is it's either right or they don't have a good rebuttal to it. So I 100%, okay, have never been proven as a racist. And I wouldn't even say I am, okay? I think that's absolutely idiotic.
And put out something accurate.
So what do you think is the most misrepresented thing about you?
Well, I think really the whole image everybody has about me. When you mentioned me, I think on a recent show, you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Yeah.
And that's how everybody knows me. Everybody thinks of me as a white supremacist Nazi. And I don't think that's really true at all. I think that we definitely have different values. I mean, you're more from the left, I'm more from the right, but I don't think I'm a hater. I'm not a hateful person. It is Heil Hitler Friday. Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis. Hitler was very fucking cool. Yes, I do. One of those, and I'm tired of pretending he's not.
So what's the thing about it?
This is a thing. You see what I'm talking about? This is why I think Nick Fuentes is a shitty role model. He's a shitty role model to the youth. No, Hitler is not. This, I don't know, probably shouldn't have said that. But the small mustache man is not a good person whatsoever. He's no one to look up to. If you look up to him, you are a shitty person yourself. You are a shitty person yourself. If that's who you look up to, you are a shitty person. And if he was an actual, decent of a man, he would say, "Nah, I was just playing around. I was, because this is the thing where I think Nick Fuentes, I think he's in his his mid-20s, right? He came in a generation where people will do shit to gain clout, right? Going viral, right? They will do shit to go viral, right? They will be controversial to go viral. And if he admits that, yeah, I'm just saying shit because, I want to go viral. Okay. At the very least, I'll respect you for that shit. Rage bait. Exactly. It's just rage bait. And you know what? I would at least respect you for that. So yeah, I know you're trying to rage bait. I know you're trying to, go gain clout through saying some crazy ass shit. At the very least, I'll respect that, right? Big bars, my brother. Thank you for being here. I will respect you at least for that. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't respect you for your take because I think it's stupid. right? The small mustache man is not a good man whatsoever, right? He's not. But at the very least, I will respect you for your honesty to say that, yeah, I was just playing around. I'm just saying shit to go viral.
It's traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most.
Well, it's a non-Christian ideology. So, I mean, look, I believe that race is real, as the Nazis did, but I don't think it utterly defines a person. As a Christian, I think we're all created beings. I do believe there's such a thing as a universal human community. And so I think it's a cruel ideology. I've said this on my show, by the way, but I mean, that would maybe be the fundamental.
Did you always feel that way?
Always, yeah, absolutely.
So even whenever you were younger and stuff?
I did, but you know, you got to recognize times have changed. 10 years ago, we had a totally different political world. The regulation and policing of speech, you know, what you would call wokeness, I think was at an all-time high when I got started as a very young man.
What would you call wokeness?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think, I mean, would you not say there were some excesses maybe in those days?
Yeah, you know, in those days I wasn't doing too well, so I wasn't paying much attention. Anyway, I would love to hear, and I'm not asking you to like retract everything that you've ever said and all, you know, or anything, but I said that I would love to talk to you because number one, I told you this, is that I think you're really smart, and I think that with that comes in a real responsibility, and you have an audience, and I have a friend whose son is my daughter's age, you know, maybe 28, you know, your age. And he's really smart, and he is a big fan of yours. And so by virtue of the relationship, I got to learn what it is that why he is a fan of yours. And none of it has to do with, I hope you agree, like really egregious things that you've said in the past about the Holocaust or about, you know.
Did the Jews ever talk about the 100 million whites that died in World War II? Or do they just bitch and moan about the so-called 6 million Jews that died? And so it's just nice to poke holes in it and say, it's not 6 million. 6 million? I don't think so.
And I don't even know, I think I've heard you since kind of rescind a lot of that.
You can see the 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
Possibly more. Possibly, you know, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
But what he agrees with is kind of the anger about the situation.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? I mean, Nick Fuentes is probably, he looks like, and he talks like the typical, you know, white boy that gets no attention, that really is invisible to the world, right? There is plenty of young men that are invisible to the world. So what do? They go to extremes. This is a thing where I think the youth has a problem with clout. They want to be famous, right? The youth has a problem, right? Because they want to be famous, right? They want to, I don't know, be just have people know them, right?
That particularly your generation finds yourself in. I know that to be real. And I think that there are, you know, maybe my reasons for recognizing that anger as being legitimate and my targets are different than yours. I just wanted to hear from you. When you say you were canceled by the right in 2016.
Yes.
I almost felt like in preparing to meet you now, is that your reaction to that was to just dig deeper and deeper into kind of the outsider kind of radical say anything for the purpose of generating you know, the attention to build an audience. Is that true? And it's not an accusation. I really mean it. I want this to be a conversation as much as possible.
I mean, there's certainly some truth to that, but I think I might be overstating it a little bit because I really got canceled by the right and the left.
Yeah.
And back in those days in 2017, you had these far left journalists, the Huffington Post, Right Wing Watch, ADL, SPLC, and I really believe they were on a mission to find extremist rhetoric, the white nationalist, neo-Nazi boogeyman, all that kind of stuff. And they would look at someone like myself, 18, and if I was being serious or joking, things taken out of context, they would clip it, post it, and they wanted me to be the villain. And I think they wanted a lot of people to be the villain. I think the left, in a way, kind of created this climate where I think they pushed a lot of people farther to the right.
No, that very well may be true, but you gave them a lot of ammunition.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I hope that some of those things that you said in the past are not things that you believe in and that are you meant just to engender like a really radical kind of response. I mean, is that true or not?
Well, you know, again, I think that back in those days, you could not say anything in 2017, 2018, cancel culture was so in overdrive. Any joke, any edgelording, anything like that, they would, first of all, there's no sense of
Yeah, I'm
humor.
so old. I don't even.
Okay, well, to break it down for you, so the dawn of wokeness as it's known today, I think was in like the post-Trump era. After Trump won the election in 2016, there was a big movement to deplatform and kind of push away those who, I guess, the left feel like had galvanized them into the presidency. So there was this big idea that if you push people off mainstream social media platforms, they would go away. Now we know through Trump's reelection, that's not even true. But at the time, that was the mantra. Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced, tucked away somewhere, and they would just sort of die in isolation. So I think that was the climate where you first got started, 2017. That time period was like crucial for getting people off mainstream platforms. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would say that you got to get into the psychology of those days. It felt like anybody that wasn't on board with the most progressive agenda had no options. There was just no alternative. It was going to be progressive, liberal, feminist, BLM, all that kind of stuff. And if you were to the right of John McCain, you're no platformed. Censored, banned from all the platforms, you're fired from your job, you're ostracized socially. And I think what happened really in 2021 when Trump got banned from the platforms is it felt like 70 million people got canceled. 70 million people that voted for Trump, or 60, 70 million people. We were all felt like, oh, so if Trump is out of politics and we're all banned from the platforms, then how is there any redress for our grievances? Do we just have to shut up and get with the program and we're all going to be progressive? And I think that drove people to a far more radical place where people said, well, what really is a solution? We can't talk, we can't express ourselves, we can't participate in the process or run for office. And I was one of the people saying that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to drive people to extremism. If you don't talk, if people don't feel like they have a seat at the table in enfranchisement, I think then they start exploring options outside the system, outside of the political process, the democratic process. So I think it's self-inflicted in many ways.
So you feel like after the mass deplatforming in 2021, whenever people on the right got pushed to platforms like Parler, Gab, Rumble, etc., the lack of discourse and like the political singularity of those platforms created more extremism?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because look, you take Trump off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I predicted this in 21. I said, watch, you're going to see alternative social media rise because some venture capitalists are going to see there's a huge market of 70 million people that are going to follow Trump because Trump is no platform. And that's exactly what happened. Rumble blew up, Elon bought Twitter. And what happened when you had total free speech on these platforms? Well, Twitter now resembles 4chan. And now, there's no gatekeepers. And I think it did push people in a radical direction. And honestly, people are even blowing past me. Now there's like mainstream normie types that are even blowing past me in terms of how radical they are. People start saying things like, there's no political solution, there's going to be a civil war, we need a revolution. And I think that's because the message from the left was, you're crushed, you have no options, you can't win, there's no alternative. Trump is going to be indicted and charged and can't run. You can't be on Twitter, you can't have a job. And so people started to say, okay, well, we still exist, we're still here, we still have these concerns, what do we do now? And then people start to say, well,
this is the thing where this is why I created the channel and why I try to do the Wednesdays call-in show is because I always think this, right? And why if you guys have seen my channel, right? Why I don't mind people like Zyrax, Zyrax or Alan, people who disagree with me. Because here's the thing, okay? I want to create an environment where you have the freedom to disagree, right? And you should. I said this so many times. Never, never should you agree with anyone 100% of the time. You shouldn't. You should be able to make up your own mind, develop your own logic, your own way of thinking, right? Your own path. You shouldn't just take someone else at face value, right? Develop your own logic, your own understanding. Because at the end of the day, why? Because you are responsible for your actions, for your words, right? You are. So hypothetically, right? If I come on here and said, you know what? Women are terrible. Black people are terrible. And then you listen to that. And then you said, oh, white women are terrible. Black women are terrible. And you say that, oh, because he said it. Are you not your own person? Right? It's like, you can't, this is a thing where there's a difference if you are 5 or 25, right? If you are a baby, a child, okay, maybe you're very easily manipulated. If you're an adult, you have no excuse. I'm sorry, right? I'm gonna be honest. If you are an adult, single mom, yeah, single moms too. If I see shit about single moms and you don't believe it, but yet you just follow the shit I say, then come on. We are adults. Saying that, oh, he manipulated me or whatever is absolutely asinine. Right? It's absolutely asinine. It really is. I'm not on the camp where I'm not in the camp that, you know what, if you if you are manipulated, you are weak-minded. I'm sorry. So you can't be surprised that children are manipulated because they're weak-minded, right? But as an adult, if you're weak-minded, you're useless. I'm sorry, right? You are literally sheeps to the slaughter. If you're weak-minded, this is why when I say be the best version of yourself, I don't just include be the best version of yourself physically, be the best version of yourself financially, right? Be the best version of yourself mentally as well. Be a man, exactly.
Oh, we need a revolution. And I'm one of the only people
Or be an adult, right? Be an adult.
saying no, we should still engage in the process and talk with each other. And it's not all one-sided. I think there's problems on the left and the right, but I certainly think it takes two to tango.
Okay, so there, we agree. I think that there are problems on the left and the right, and I don't disagree with some of the things that you just said. I guess I just came to a different conclusion that there are some things that people should be deplatformed for. Not that they can't say it when they want to say it, but I think that it's a right of anybody.
Okay, top three things. What do you think?
There's a difference between being able to say that you're proud of your white heritage and also being just flat out racist. I think that there's a difference between saying you're proud of your Christian heritage and the white culture from what you come from and Nazis, or that you adopt the Nazism as a legitimate ideology. I think that there's a difference between saying that you disagree with the United States.
I don't think, unless you are inciting, like, unless your words are specifically, right, calling for violence, right? I don't even think inciting, but if your words are calling for violence, that is the only thing, in my opinion, you should be deplatformed for, right? If you are calling for violent action, right? Violent actions. If you are calling and promoting and pushing violent actions, that's the, in my opinion, that's the only thing, right? Basically, I can't think of anything, or, you know, any violent, right? Violent actions. That's the only thing you should be deplatformed, because if you're trying to get people to be violent, right? Then yeah. But anything else, I don't give a shit, right? Because here's the thing. Even if Nick Fuentes talks about, you know, the mustache man, so what? Artie, what is up, my brother? How you been? How you been, my brother? Even if he's talking about the mustache man, guess what? Others should be able to critique him, to criticize him, to respond to him. If you're of your only way to stop him from talking is to deplatform him, you are essentially making him a messiah, right? Or a martyr. You are martyring him, right? That's what you're trying to do. Because now you're telling him, oh, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Who the fuck are you, right? Now you're going to make people want to listen to him even more.
Policy as it relates to Israel and saying that the Holocaust didn't exist.
I was like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And my parents were like, we cannot believe.
Those would be top three things in my mind. I know that you believe that some people tip you out of context. And I do agree. Look, on both the right and the left, there are these gatekeepers, 100%. And look at me, the mainstream press just destroyed me for 7 years without any real kind of reflection about what they were doing. I do think that, you know, some of those things are legitimate reasons to say, you know, we don't want you on our, you know, on our commercial platform. Would you agree with that? I mean, you just said, for instance, people calling for a, like an armed revolution, like people calling for actual violence. You're opposed to.
Oh, I didn't even know. I mean, I thought this was, it says Hunter Biden. I thought it was just some kind of, you know how some people share certain names, right? So I thought it was just some kind of, I don't know, no name or nobody, you know, influencer. But okay, he's actually President or ex-President Biden's son. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm against violence, and I do think those are one of the.
Well, I don't know if I mean, what do you mean by anti-American? Right? They didn't really interact with America. Okay, it's anti-Jewish, right? Literally, that was their that was the core of their, you know, way of life, to be anti-Jewish. Because again, I don't think they actually interacted with Americans to such a degree before that.
legitimate things that should be taken from the platform. You know, there's a lot of this stuff on social media I don't agree with, but again, you know, what started to happen is there was this like editorial censorship where certain ideas were banned, and they just, it was such a broad brush and also totally opaque and ad hoc. You'd be on YouTube, like I was, for example, they banned me for life and didn't even give me a reason. Not a
Did they overthrow the U.S. Constitution? I mean, like, how? Right? I mean, they didn't actually go at, it's like, it's kind of like, I mean, again, I'm not a history buff, so maybe educate me, right? I'm not a history buff. So, but how would they overthrow the U.S. Constitution when they didn't really interact with the U.S., right? So it's not like they went to the U.S. to take over the nation, okay? Again, like I said, I'm not a history buff, so the glancery thing I know is that their main tenet was to, well, I guess if they want to, but I think, in my opinion, again, I don't really know. I'm not a history buff. I think if they want to, it's probably because they fear the intervention, right? They fear American intervention. So again, I think they were trying to, I mean, obviously, they were trying to take over Europe, right? So no duh, they didn't like Americans.
specific quote, not a specific infraction. And so you don't know what the rules are. You don't know what the process is. They just take you down. And especially now when everything is digital, it's not just the social platforms, it's the other ones like Uber, Airbnb, whatever. It feels like you're being denied almost something like a civil right, because the social platforms are the modern public square. Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, the banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platforms. And it felt like if you just simply had the wrong opinions or you were the wrong kind of person, you were being deprived of like a basic civil right or being able to participate in society. So, you know, and I think maybe that's an area of collaboration where we recognize maybe it is a civil right to use the digital platforms, but here are the rules. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say. Here's the process. Maybe there's a reconciliation mechanism, but I mean, the censorship was just out of control. I don't think anyone disagrees there's a reasonable limit, though.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't see that as a result of left-wing or right-wing ideology. I view that kind of level of deplatforming. Look, I was debanked. I was debanked before I was ever even charged with anything. I lost every bank account. It took me, 9 months once they, the Trump administration, said that they were starting an investigation into me to be able to actually get a bank account again. And I don't want to tell you the bank because tomorrow they may debank me again. But my point is that those people are incredibly identifiable. I keep, like, I've been talking and going around and I say things like, I don't think we are nearly as divided as they're telling us we are. Because I do believe that there are an identifiable group of people that are responsible for an enormous amount of the discord and division because they make money off of it. I think that these social media companies that are controlled by 3, 4, 5, individuals have made clear that they only care about one thing. They only care about how much money they can produce for themselves and, the people that hold stocks in their company, even to the degree where we know for certain that they're driving teenage girls to the highest levels of suicide by a factor, like exponential factors, directly related to the content that they're being pushed, and they won't do anything about it, right? And so, to the same degree, I think they, a lot of what you call wokeness was maybe an illegitimate, but a financial decision based on a lot of these
Corporate psyop, maybe.
corporate side.
Thank you.
I mean, by the way, exactly. I
just wanted to back up real quick. So you talked about certain people going too far. About 2.5 months ago, I visited a whites only community in Hardy, Arkansas. And I don't know why. I guess coming from like a more like left wing place, I'm from Seattle. I kind of assumed there was like a united front on the right for some reason. So I'm out there, I'm chilling with these dudes. They're like sword fighting, having barbecues. Overall, it was a good time for them. I had a hard time connecting with them because I don't agree with them, but it's all good. I was having fun for a couple days. And then, like right as I was there, I guess you had hit them up on X or something and said like, "Hey, I don't want to associate with you guys." What happened there?
Well, that was really more of a personal disagreement with the guy that founded it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting project. It's interesting that got so much pushback, this whites only community, because you know what? If you go to a lot of these different neighborhoods in major cities, there are ethnic enclaves. And it's not like there's an explicit rule that you have to be a certain ethnicity, but we all know in Chicago and New York and LA, you got certain neighborhoods where it is 80-90% one ethnicity.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of white people that say we kind of want something similar. I don't think there's anything.
Well, okay, let's back up. If you want to talk about the histories of New York and Chicago, I feel like that was also a conscious decision that was made. Like
I tell you where it's blacks only. It's in Cabrini Green, where Mayor Daley made everybody that was black live in the Cabrini Green. I mean, it's not that wasn't by choice. It's not by choice that these ethnic enclaves are 80 or 90%, whatever that ethnicity is. It's because that's the only place in which they had an opportunity to live unbothered, or where they were told that they had to live because of the historical fact that
Yeah.
they could not move into other neighborhoods. You could not move into parts of South Chicago without, being stoned.
Right.
Literally, right?
Yeah,
And so, like so it's not as if those ethnic enclaves are there by choice. And so that
Also, ethnic enclaves do exist for like specific variations of different Europeans. Like, there is like places that are chocolate. Like South Philly's full of Italians.
there's Little Italy and there's Little Korea.
I
and
think
there's
the
Little
issue,
Japan.
what I always like, what confused me the most about the whites only community is like, there's just so many different kinds of white people in America. So like to establish a unified white culture with a place so diverse and full of like different regional flavors just kind of felt confusing to me, because it can mean a different thing depending on what part of the country or what European enclave you originated from. Like, we're Irish people from the Philly area. Can you compare that to like, surfers in San Diego, or even like, Italian Americans in Staten Island? I don't know. Everything just feels so different. So when I got there, I was trying to identify what they meant by white culture. It wasn't really based on shared like cultural practices, but more the exclusion of people who weren't white. So they weren't like stoked on being European necessarily. They were more just like, oh, we're here because those people aren't here. So it just kind of felt more negative than constructive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really involved with that project in particular, but I think that, look, I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration. And I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country. And it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti and there's various ethnic enclaves where you get that local culture and they do their, cultural festivals and that sort of thing. And white people feel like they're being pushed out and they want a space where things are familiar.
You feel the same way about the Italian festival that happens in every city?
Well, here's a good example. So,
or St. Patrick's Day?
well, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little
Sure
Italy.
there is.
I mean, there's some
Also,
remnants in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
It's important to note that, like, I'm not trying to get into like a shouting match here, but like, as a family coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs. And that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures, because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the violence. My grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when, after MLK got assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground.
Yeah.
People didn't want to be around that
Why
anymore.
were the riots?
MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No,
Which
it
they never
justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger, the same kind of anger that you feel about.
I think it's funny. I mean, like, again, I'm not saying I'm very crazy political, but like, Biden wasn't. He's not notorious. He's not a notorious whatchamacallit, fan of black people, right? He's not the most, loving of black people. So I just
being left out. The same kind of anger that you're expressing right now about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society. Imagine if you were a 26-year-old black man in 1968 and saw your hero be assassinated.
I saw Trump get shot in the ear, and
did he?
And I saw Charlie Kirk get shot, and I didn't see any cities get burned down. It's funny how
I
it
think
works.
it's a very, very, very different thing. I think
How is
it's
that different?
absolutely
Charlie
different
Kirk
thing.
got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
And liberals celebrated all over social media by Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. Who is what?
Who is some liberal guy.
He is?
Mhm.
But
He's got a transgender boyfriend.
does that make him liberal? Because he's transgender? Because
I think
he's
so.
gay?
Well, because he's got a transgender boyfriend. Yeah, I think so.
It makes him liberal.
I think he was liberal. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he didn't come from a liberal family. He didn't come from a liberal enclave. He didn't come.
Biden. Yeah, that's one thing, right? Biden is not. He's not the most the things I've seen of Biden, right? He's not the most black friendly person.
From a liberal background. He's not a minority. He was a Mormon, correct?
Mhm.
And grew up in a Mormon household. And he went to a largely Mormon college.
Mhm.
And he ended up committing an act of violence, according.
That is disingenuous. That is disingenuous. Are you saying that the liberals, Democrats, the left, they don't come from Christian or conservative backgrounds? That's absolutely stupid. That's absolutely asinine.
To the FBI and the authorities in Utah that charged him. How does that in any way compare to what we're talking about? I'm not justifying the violence that occurred after the death of Martin Luther King, but you're saying that person, this Tyler, whoever his name is was as disenfranchised as the African American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks. Sorry, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
And in the 1960s, the West Side burns down. We don't want to live around that. We don't want to live around a
That's
city
not when
burning
it
down.
happened. That's not when the white flight happened.
It is.
No,
It was a
it's
big
not.
response to it.
No,
Absolutely.
100% not. You
Absolutely.
make these historical connections that don't exist. Part of it was potentially, but before that, what Mayor Daley did is made Chicago the most segregated city in the entire United States.
Rihanna, right? I want to say this, right? I'm not saying Biden is anything special because I don't really care for him. But to say that 99% of American leaders, right, are fascists, you have to give a reasoning, right? So, core beliefs of fascism, extreme nationalism, putting the nation and often a specific race far above the rights and needs of any individual. If, let's say hypothetically, 99% of American leaders are fascists, I don't think the Civil Rights Act would have been passed. I don't think so. If 99% of American leaders, this is why I'm saying, right? This is why I'm critical of, you know, certain people who call themselves Americans, because particularly I'm not saying you, right? But I'm saying, you know, people who are critical of America. One, and it's fine to be critical, but a lot of times the rhetoric you say shows you, you know what, you are not American in my eyes, right? How is it? You got to say, how is it true? You got to say how it's true, right? You can't say, because again, if you're putting the nation, right, above, putting the nation above everything else, right, often a specific race, right, and let's be honest, America is today, it's probably about 60 to 70% white. So I don't know what you necessarily mean. Also, not, and again, one thing does not make you fascist, right? So another core beliefs of fascism is dictatorial rule, giving total power to a single strong leader who rules without any checks and balances or democracy, right? I mean, it could be, but again, why wouldn't you? As you said, right? Civil Rights Act is a strategy to control the unrest of the current system. Do you think the Nazis would have used Civil Rights Act to control the populace? Do you think that? Or would they use force? Right? Would they use force? No. America was never built on imperialism, right? We fought to distance ourselves from imperialism, right? They all do it. You just can't say they all do it without giving actual examples, right? Give me an example, right? What do you mean, right? Because like I said, if 99%, right, 99% of presidents were fascists, why would they even pass a Civil Rights Act when they could just use their power to control the populace? And know this, right? Know this. America, right, at the time of Nazis, right, had probably less than 10%. 10% of the population was probably black. Probably during the Civil Rights Act or during any of this, less than 10%. Do you believe that 90%, 80 to 90% of the population could not control 10% of the population? No. America would not even cared to pass it. And do you know, matter of fact, if there are 99% quote unquote, then you won't be able to say what you want to say. So I say it again. Do you know what fascists really mean? I'm literally reading it. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, I'm literally reading it. Who was it forced by? Right? Who forced it? Do you believe the 10% of the population forced it? Or do you believe white Americans? Right? White Americans, leaders, politicians, right? I'm pretty sure during the time of civil rights, the amount of black politicians were probably maybe close to zero. So this is why you're not being honest. Who forced it? You believe the 10% of the population forced it on the 90% of the population? This is very disingenuous, right? This is why I said this, where I hate this rhetoric, right? That we want to paint America terrible, right? We really want to paint America so terrible, and yet we really have nothing to paint it with, right? Again, America does not have a dictatorial rule. It doesn't. It has checks and balances. So that is already out. Extreme nationalism. America doesn't have extreme nationalism, right? No freedom. Silencing critics, banning free speech, using police or military force to crush opposition. Please tell me how I'm being obtuse. Please tell me how I'm being obtuse. Strict social order, believing in strict social hierarchy, using scapegoats like minority groups or outsiders to blame for the country's problems. No, but you're making it out to be, right? How can you honestly, right, honestly say 99% of American leaders are fascists, and then in the same breath say America isn't terrible? How can you do that? I really don't. How can you say 99% of American leaders are terrible, fascists, and then say America isn't? Two of those things cannot be true at once. All right? They can't be true at once. Okay, you just say Patriot Act. What do you mean by it? You got to say something more, right? Something more substantial. And this is the thing, right? This is why Brianna, I love it, right? This is why I'm a big. This is the point of the show, right? The Wednesdays Lives. I love the difference of opinions, right? I love it. I love the difference of opinion. I want to. This is what I want to do, right? This is why I want to, have these conversations. I mean, please talk. Let's, So, again, I just think that we can't just say certain words and like make believe it's true, right? I don't believe it like that. So I 100%, 99% of hell. Let me be honest. I don't even think 1%. I don't even think 1%, right, of American leaders were fascist. Right? I'm going to say it again. I don't even think 1% of American leaders were fascist. Prove me wrong. If you don't know what the Patriot Act is in 2026, then again, you have to prove it, right? It's not about what I know, right? You can't let me provide you your own argument, right? Brianna, you cannot let me provide you your own argument. You say one word, you say one thing, and that's it. You have to have a basis, an actual argument. You can't say Patriot Act and boom, you're done. That literally does nothing, right? You have to provide your argument. You cannot expect me to provide your argument because I don't believe what you're saying, right? I'm not in the same camp. But let's do it. I mean, let's Edward Snowden again. You say one word. I mean, you say something and then boom, you make it seem like it's something special. It really isn't, right? It really isn't. But fine, let's go. I don't even know. I mean, let's do it, right? The U.S. Patriot Act is a landmark piece of U.S. legislation passed in 2000, right? Expanded surveillance, wiretapping, investigation powers of federal law enforcement and intelligence agency to combat terrorism. All right. Controversially, right? This might be controversial to you. I wish America had CCTVs. I wish, because here's the thing. The UK has it. I'm going to be honest. I wish America had CCTVs. Did you know that when we start introducing police cam videos, right? Police cam videos, we saw a different type. We saw a different type of world, right? We saw a different type of world. Before police cam videos, America believed that, you know what? Oh my God, all the black communities, right? All the black communities were unjustly policed, right? All the black police are just beating and killing black people. Now that you see police cam videos, right? You can see that, you know what? That's not true, right? That isn't true, right? So because of video proof, you can see that, you know what? It's not as evil and terrible as society made it out to be. News made it out to be. So, right? I'm all for CCTVs. I'm all for us having surveillance, right? Now, there's levels to it, right? I don't think that right now in my you know, when I'm going to sleep, you know, FBI is watching me through, you know, any kind of camera or whatever, right? So again, you say you just pop out little words, right? You popped out little words, but you don't expand on anything. You don't expand on anything. I don't know what you're trying to get, right? You got to have an argument. Can't say Fourth Amendment, boom, done. What do you mean by it? What are you using it for? It's like Brianna, it's like that's not how you like go about like kind of having any kind of debates, right? Any kind of argument and stuff. You have to have a point. No, you just justify taking American rights away. Your American right, right? Your American right isn't secrecy, right? That is not your American right. Your American right, right, is to say what you want. It isn't to just do what you want. I mean, again, we got to expand on it. You said Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. Okay. Unreasonable? I don't know. You got to give an example. What does that mean? What are you trying to do? Right? Who's seizing things from you? Again, you say one thing, you have no real argument for anything, right? Again, you got to prove your point. I really don't even. It's like I'm trying to think up what's your point, right? I'm trying to make your own argument. When, to be honest, we're not thinking the same thing. We're not on the same page. So really, if I'm making your own argument for you, well then I don't know. I'm just proving you wrong then, right?
It's other than Boston. When you would come from the South to Chicago, African Americans from the South, blacks in the South coming to Chicago would say that Chicago was twice the level of segregation and racism that occurred in the South. And so it wasn't as if you're coming into a situation in which you're feeling in any way enfranchised by the community and the situation that you're in. And as many people left simply because of the idea that someone was black moving into their neighborhood as the violence that occurred after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So
I don't know what you mean, right? More to the fourth. Protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. The Patriot Act, right? It's like expand to surveillance, wiretapping, investigation powers of federal law enforcement and intelligence agents to combat terrorism. Those are not the two same things, right? They're not the same. It's not your freedom to terrorize your country. It's not your right. It's not your right, your American right to terrorize your country. That isn't your American right. It's like I'm sorry. This is the problem when you know, you have Americans that don't really, you know, that's not critically think things out, right? It's not your, like, we got to know what's our American right, okay?
numbers actually.
No, I mean, like, I want to have this discussion because I hope, right, Brianna, we are, you know, I have respect for you, right? I hope that we can have a dialogue where, you know what, and I've said this before, never agree with anyone 100%. I'm not narrow-minded, right? If you say something logical, it makes sense to me, I will change my mind, right? So I hope that the people who watch my stuff, if I say something logical to you, I hope I can change your mind. We have a right to have revolution, I guess, but what revolution, right? I really don't understand. You want to revolt against democracy? I like, what do you want a revolution? I mean, like, it really doesn't make sense, right? America, right? America isn't, I don't know, fucking Haiti. America isn't Somali, right? It's not Somalia. So what's the revolution for? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Pre-1968, when King was shot, you had more people leave the city because of the desegregation, because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act than you did after the riots.
I think that's just not true. I think that the race riots were a huge driver of white flight to the suburbs. I think it's just dishonest to say that's not the case.
Okay, so what's your point about all of this?
Well, we're talking about where people want to live.
Yeah, I know. So like what in 2026?
Well, how about in 2020 when Minneapolis burned to the ground? Or how about in the summer of 2020 in Chicago?
Minneapolis didn't burn to the ground.
It didn't?
No. I mean, there were
BLM
parts
didn't
of it,
destroy
but-
Justin
If you guys need a physical witness to what happened in Minneapolis, there were many structures that burned to the ground. Not the city, but there was, I would say, between 40 to 50 buildings off of Lake Street in the south side that did burn to the ground. But most of the city was intact, but it was quite an intense situation.
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, you know, let's say the anger of the oppressed.
I'm not surprised that the son of Biden is saying the shit he's saying. I'm not surprised because he's the type of white person that is disconnected to the people. Whatever Americans want, it's our country. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This logic, right? Whatever Americans want, guess what? The majority of Americans wanted Trump, yet you don't agree to it, right? The majority of Americans want something, but it seems like you are against it, right? It seems like you're against it. So you can't say whatever Americans want, it's our country, but yet you disagree with Americans' point of view, right? With certain America, right? Certain people of America. And literally, our leaders are, as maybe you don't like it. He's a junkie, but our leaders are a representation of America, right? It's our leaders are our representation, or a representative, right? So you can't on one hand say, "Oh, I hate our leaders," right? Yet, you know, whatever American wants. It's like, okay, but the Americans wanted, you know, certain leaders, right? It's just like, it's kind of, you can't, because this is a thing where, here's my thing, right? As an American, you should always want your president to succeed. Why? Because if you elected your president, right, or whoever, it is the president's job to make America better. Make America better. That is their job, right? If you wish failure onto minority of Americans vote, well, that's kind of like, well, here's the thing, right? Congress, right, has an 8% approval rating. Okay, right. I'm just saying that, like, we elected them, right? This is the thing where we would want. Again, I'm not saying don't be critical of your government, right? Don't have critiques of your government. You should always have critiques of your government, but you should also hope that your government succeeds in what they're doing, and usually you want them to succeed in bettering our nation, right?
That's the disenfranchised.
So
They were looting. They were looting and carjacking the criminals.
Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people? And it's black people that are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with
Are you
Austin
really?
Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the
And the
Magnificent
problem-
Mile is gone.
and
Water Tower Place
the
is gone
problem
because of all the crime.
Nick, and the type of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
What do
just-
you-
What the fuck are you talking about? That is an absolute. What?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with
Are you
Austin
really?
Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the
And the
Magnificent
problem-
Mile is
Here's that's kind of like, I'm not saying that that's not one. I'm not saying that there's no truth to that at all, right? I'm not saying there's no truth to that at all. But let's be honest, right? You know, if you saying the population has no impact on elections, that's dishonest, right? But I agree. Money, super PACs, they are a big influence. They are a big influence on our They are a big influence on our system. But here's an oligarchy, that's not true, because here's the thing, right? Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris had more money. Her campaign used more money, had more super PACs, So if you're by your logic, right? If by your logic that it's money and super PACs that determines elections, that is not true, right? I mean, I'm not saying that there's no truth to it, right? I'm not saying there's no truth to it. But like I said, literally, Kamala Harris had more campaign money than Donald Trump did. All right. I believe I believe that was true. I mean, you could fact check me.
Gone.
And
Water tower
the
places
problem
gone because
with
of all the crime.
Nick, and the type of an entire generation of
It's not a democracy. It's a republic. It's a republic, not a democracy. We are a republic, not a democracy.
of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops.
Groups most likely to be killed by law enforcement. African Americans. Here's the thing, right? African Americans, right? This is why I hate these people who want to tout these kind of things, right? Okay. So you are most likely to be killed by cops from all of this, right? Compared to other races. Okay, compared to other races. But yeah, we are a republic. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. But if you actually look into statistics, right? You actually look into the stats, about 500 black people are killed every it's not a republic. America is a republic. Yes, America is a constitutional federal republic. While people often call the United States a democracy, its precise constitutional structure is a republic. Why is America a republic? Representative of governance, citizens do not vote directly on national laws. Instead, they elect representatives like members of Congress and the president to make laws and govern on their behalf. So, yeah, I literally read it. Democrat. I mean, yeah, but like, here's the thing, right? America is a constitutional federal republic. Okay, we elect people to make our decisions for us. Now, back to this, right? Brianna, do you even know what an oligarchy is? An oligarchy is the form of government or social structure where power rests entirely with a small elite group of people. To say that America is an oligarchy, it's like, I'm sorry, right? I respect you, right? I will always respect people with difference of opinions, right? No, I'm gonna check your facts, right? I'm gonna hold you to it. APAC again, right? Brianna, I already proved. Let me see, right? Yes, Kamala Harris significantly outraised Donald Trump in total campaign money and overall donations during the 2024 presidential election cycle. When combining official campaign committees and dark money political nonprofits, Harris heavily outpaced Trump, right? Let's see. Kamala Harris raised roughly $2 billion, right? $2 billion, while Donald Trump raised about $1.4 billion. I mean, it's not like Donald Trump didn't raise money, but here's the thing: if your opinion is that, okay, money is what's, what wins you election, literally, that didn't win Kamala the election. So that is the facts. I mean, I'm not going to just go on what people say. I will never just do that. So I hope that you would do the same. But I mean, if you don't believe it, if your mind doesn't change, that is up to you, right? That is up to you. Now, I want to go back to this, right? This is the absolute ridiculous of it, right? If you care so much about how law enforcement kill African Americans, which you should, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you shouldn't care at all, right? But when in about, when the rate of killing of deaths are about 400, right? About 400 or so. And yet when the rate of black on black murders, black on black homicides are about, I don't know, over 10,000 a year, it seems like the outrage is kind of weird, right? It seems like you care more about one when it's a smaller number, yet you don't really care about the other when it's a extremely bigger number, right?
For decades.
That's
What are
just
you
not
talking
true.
about, Nick?
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not
Nick,
what.
that's not true. It's
Oh,
not true. Are
it
you
is.
saying that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans? Nick, you could grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy. 50 times. And
We're
so what
talking
you're
about-
trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban Chicago.
I also think it's weird that you say, that's America. And yet a while ago you said America's not terrible. It's like you have a very negative view of America, yet on the same flip side, you say America's not terrible. It's always interesting to me, right? When certain people say, oh, America's this, America's that, and everything you say, pretty much everything that comes out of your mouth about America is terrible. And then say, oh, America's not terrible. Okay. Not, if I 100% listen to you, I would say America's terrible, right?
Doesn't
It's not a true oligarchy. Now, I'm not saying that money does. I've said this, right? We have corruption. We have a terrible corruption in our government. We have terrible corruption, 100%. I've never denounced that. I never discredit that. We have a whole lot of corruption in our government, right? The idea of America, this is the thing where we're living the idea of America, right? The idea of America is right now. If you think that because of the idea of America, it should be perfect, that's delusional, right? That is delusional.
Feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
I said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago: the carjackings, shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mag Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime. But we're not allowed to talk about it because of the
What do
racial
you mean you're not allowed
dimension.
to talk about it? We're talking about it right here.
You
You
guys-
have a platform in which
I think
millions of people listen to you. Nick.
I think
Well, after Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up, it wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no, you weren't allowed it. You're right. We can talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys
Nick,
won.
Hey, what's up, guys? There's something I forgot to tell you about. We also just launched our own streaming platform called.
Recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024, because Donald
I
Trump
did in
hasn't.
24.
Because Donald Trump hasn't changed.
Mhm.
Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so, what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have that with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, because of, it's always other, Nick, with you, it seems to me. And I listen to a lot of the stuff. It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in
Okay,
24.
well, okay. My point being is that whenever
If Nick was an actual, a man of his a man of his morals, he would hold his father, right? He would have. I don't know if he's going to do it. I doubt he will, but he would, straight up hold his family, to I don't know, some kind of he would fight back,
you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, I mean, before, remember, all of us, you know, it was the Irish Catholics who all committed the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans, they were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about.
I want to do this, right? 1994 crime bill, mass incarceration. As a U.S. Senator, Biden chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee and was a primary author of the Violent Crime Control Law Enforcement Act of 1994. Critics point to his bill as a driver of policies that devastated Black families and neighborhoods. Mass incarceration, the bill provided billions of dollars to federal funding to build state prisons, encouraging longer sentences, aggressive policing tactics, which is funny. His father, right, hurt more Black people. His father hurt more Black people than Trump did. His father contributed to the damaging of the Black community more than Trump did. And you have the audacity to say you shit you're saying, right? I think it's funny, right? I could probably say more, right? So, but there's plenty of and it's funny. He's talking about Black and brown people, or like it's other people's problem. Do you know, although Biden let in a lot of immigrants, Biden also deported a whole lot more immigrants.
About this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white
How about
culture.
that Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a Black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because
So
you're
what?
picking out one example. It
I'm not
really
just
is.
picking out one
All bad? I don't know. What do you mean all bad? Like,
example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock and a hard place. Let's talk about his bill.
Well, let me respond to this, because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which by the way aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what, Nick, here's the other thing.
It's America.
Okay, but Nick, you can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that. And
That's not how it started, though.
This is a legitimate argument, but it's
Nick, Hunter, what do you guys make of the concept of community collapse? Have you guys heard of this?
No.
So it's got nothing to do with race, got nothing to do with money, but this is kind of a crazy stat. So in 2019, before COVID, 76% of Americans said they were part of an in-person community that gave them some kind of value. After COVID, and this year, it was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues is the collapse of social bonds, third spaces, communities, in-person engagement, which comes with loneliness, more time online, and more division. I understand. I feel like you guys aren't going to agree. I want to talk about what you guys think can be done on an individual and community level to stop people from hating each other and to create more belonging and engagement.
well,
I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen, because right now, I think it's maybe a crescendo. God, I'm terrible at saying it, but maybe there's not a peak yet, right? There isn't a peak yet. I think we are divided. I agree. We are heavily divided, but we need to reach certain kind of peak, right? A tipping point where we've gone too far. Then we got to go back, right? I don't think that the left and the right will ever agree. I don't think men and women will ever agree. I don't think Black and white will ever agree until we reach a certain tipping point, right? Where it's like, oh my God, this is too much, right? This is too much. We got to go back, right? We got to take a step back. I think that, right? To be honest, I don't know. I kind of thought Charlie Kirk would have been a start of a tipping point, right? It would have been started at a tipping point, and then something big happens, and then we take a step back. But Charlie Kirk was barely a blip, right? In my opinion, it was barely nothing. How would you get rid of the oligarchy? Do you mean to say that we should kill millionaires and billionaires. It's like, do you know that a core tenet of America is capitalism, right? Rihanna, I don't know if you actually are, right, American or not, right? A big tenet of America is capitalism. So to get it, what do you mean get rid of the oligarchy? Do you mean get rid of the rich? It's kind of ridiculous.
Number one, I think this. Okay, for real.
Podcasting.
No, not podcasting. This discussion. For me to be able to sit down with someone who I so vehemently disagree with and find some kind of common ground.
I mean, guy at home who's watching this on his phone, just thinking, I wish I could go outside. I don't know anyone.
Okay, well, here's what I'm talking about. It's all about connection. It is all about actually connecting with people. And I'm not talking about digitally connecting with people anonymously online. I'm talking about actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't any of us.
Then don't talk. Are you fucking stupid? Don't say shit then. You have no answer. He's like, why don't you say I don't know? It's like you just like to hear your own fucking voice.
And then, look, man, I just think that you are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now doesn't have to do with this cultural divide or racial divide or religious divide or the idea that America is becoming less white or culturally relevant anymore. I think our biggest problem is literally an oligarchy that is inflaming every single division that we have.
And
Brianna, look at this. He's a fan of yours, right? Look at that, right? Isn't that right? He's literally you should support this man, right? You should support him, man. He's literally saying everything you're saying, right? He's literally in support of you. I mean, that's great, but it doesn't mean that you love America, right? I don't really understand. You could, I mean, Native Americans have been here the longest, and I'm pretty sure they don't love America. Right? They don't love American ideology. Right? So it means nothing for however long you've been here. Right? It really doesn't mean much because it doesn't take away if you like America or not. Bars, my brother, what is up? What is up?
What's up with you, man?
Chilling.
Chilling. I just had to chime in because
Go for it. What's your thoughts?
He's making me mad because
I see.
He's like, this is what I personally think about him personally, and this is just what I think about him personally. He's had his girls taken by a black man. He's been beat up and bullied his whole life by black people. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it's good or bad. I'm just saying he has a hatred for black people that is like unheard of. Anytime somebody says get over it when talking about racism, lets me know they haven't looked into any kind of racism, any kind of slavery, any kind of anything to me. Because it's like, what you mean get over it? Get over getting castrated? Get over getting your money took and hung with? Remember in Sinners, that's what they said. This guy was trying to start his own business and he made the mistake of showing his money, and they lied on him, took his money, and hung him from a tree. You know, I think he's being disingenuous. I think he's just really
Wait, who was hung from a tree in Sinners?
This was in Sinners. That's what
I saw it. I don't remember anyone being hanged from a tree.
When what's that? I forgot what Delroy, Delroy or whatever. I think that's his real name.
No. Who was that? Which one?
When they went to the train station and the guy was playing a harmonica.
Yeah.
And then they got him to play at the
club.
At the club that night. And they were coming back and they was coming past the chain gang. And he was like, yeah, I know a couple of those people.
I remember the chain gang, yeah.
And then he was telling the story of how he knew some of those people. And he was like this guy, he was I think he was about to start his own dentistry practice or something like that. And so he was saving his money because this group of corrupt cops snatched him up and was making them play for money, and making them play for money or whatever. And yeah, that's what he said. Did they find out he had money and they lied on him and hung him from a tree?
Got it. Okay.
But he's not telling it. that makes me mad when somebody says just get over it. You know, it's a callousness in that I cannot handle as a person, especially a person that has looked into slavery of all kinds. I had this book went through all the slaveries. You know what I'm saying? Like every single one, not just chattel, not just black slavery, all forms of slavery. And
Mhm.
it's just for somebody to say that, it lets you know you have never even been in a fight. You know, for you to say that is like it's a disconnect from humanity to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because you can't look into you can't you can't, and he seems to be a person who looks into things at least. You know what I'm saying? Before he talks about them, but for him to say that lets you know that his hatred for black people won't allow him to look into slavery. Because for you to say get over it is kind of crazy to me. You know, I, I understand, like we say all the time, you don't let it stop you. You don't,
Yeah.
you don't like stay stuck in the past. I
Yes.
get
Yeah.
all of that. But to say get over it, you're
No. No.
crazy.
No.
I'll
I would
punch
say
you in
this.
the
I always
face.
say that I agree. You learn from the past, right? I'm not. I don't say don't be ignorant to the past, right? Don't be ignorant to it, right? But I would say don't let it control you. That's the
Right.
problem I find it right now. I do understand that Nick Fuentes is being and I think that's I think that's his gimmick, right? The guy's an extremist, right? So I think that's his gimmick. So I would never, to be honest, I don't really care the things he say because he's trying to get you to rile up, right? It's like you said in the beginning, rage baiting you, right? So he's done that to you. He got you, right? But
Yep.
it's like this is the thing
Which
where
I
it's like,
fall for it all the time.
yeah, it's all good.
I fall
But
for it.
yeah, but this is the thing where here's the thing where I will say that I personally on the board where I'm not saying you get over it. I'm saying don't let it control you. All
Right.
right. Don't let it be your whole identity. Don't let it be your whole personality. Because, in my opinion, when people let that control them, is that they use it as an excuse. Oh, why can't this happen? Why can't this happen? Why can't I succeed? Why can't I this? Why can't I that? Because of this, because of that. No, because of you. All right. It's because of you. So uh, learning from it is a good thing. So you don't repeat certain histories, or so you won't be ignorant to it. So
Yeah, I agree. You don't let it hinder you, because
correct,
I'll tell
correct.
you, my ancestors would have loved to would love to have the books that I have. They would
Mm,
love to. You know what I'm saying? They would love to
yeah.
be able to walk down the street past a person of a different color and not even bat an
Mm,
eye. They would love
mhm,
that.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
so you don't let it hinder you. But I think
Correct.
it's just maybe it's just the maybe it's just the I don't know, something in me that I can't. Like I said, when you look into slavery, you get over it. It's kind of it's like saying F you. That's what it's like. It's like he might as well say F black people,
Yeah.
in my opinion. You know what I'm
I get
saying?
I get it. I
Because
get it.
it's like get over it. What you mean get over it? And it's even worse when a black person says it, because it's like you haven't even have you looked into slavery? The average person, I say this all the time, and I'm not trying to be, oh high and mighty or nothing, but the average person couldn't handle what I know about slavery. And that's just how I feel, you know what I'm saying? Personally, that's just how I feel, I think that's crazy. I think that they're going back and forth, and I just really think he had his girl taken by a black person. He's talking
I mean,
butthurt.
I don't know. I mean, I know that Nick Fuentes is still a virgin, so that's what I've heard. Last I heard. So I don't know. I don't think the guy even ever had a girlfriend to begin with.
Mm,
So, but this is a thing where I mean, I don't know. Again, I said this in the beginning. I think he's just someone who rage baits people, right? He
he's a
want to
rage
say
baiter.
extreme things to if he gets under your skin. I said this. I said this to a commenter, right, the other day, right? I'd rather you hate me than ignore me. As a content creator, right? As someone who makes videos, I'd rather you hate me than ignore me. Because if you ignore me, you don't even bother, right? There's people who hate me and they will hate watch my shit, right? They will hate watch my shit. So people who don't care, they don't even watch more than a second of my stuff. So I don't know. For me, I'd rather you hate me than ignore me. Tony, what is up?
Yeah, I
I don't know.
agree.
Yeah, I don't know if he's an idol, but I mean, he is a role model, right? I think he is a role model to certain people. So
He's just a racist, man. I haven't. We don't see pure racism other than him, in my opinion. He's like the next level. Even if he's rage baiting, like you say, he's an extremist.
yeah, he's
So
an
maybe
extremist.
that's what it is. That
Yeah,
maybe
he's
that's what it is. But it's
definitely an
like
extremist.
we don't even. You know what I'm saying? I wonder. Oh, shoot. They put Charlie Kirk's life in danger. Charlie Kirk's life was taken. Uh, Trump's life was in danger, but he's walking around free. And as
That's
much,
the thing, right? I think that's the problem, right? We people like the left doesn't understand. They got rid of they got rid of or they put fear into the moderate people who weren't crazy, who weren't extremists. You're only giving voice to the extremists.
Mm.
So
And by the way, and they're out for you, man. Just
I know.
as much as anybody
I-
else.
well, I agree.
So those platforms that we talk about that you're not allowed to be on because Elon's out on the platform. Elon doesn't give a shit about anything other than one thing:
But I just want to say
money,
real quick.
money, and
Well,
his money.
I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Okay, well, you may
real
not agree
quick,
with
that's
that
what I'm
because you
saying.
don't
So
want to piss off
you're-
Elon
you're
Musk.
talking-
Elon doesn't even like me, but I just
You're
disagree.
talking about the oligarchy, right? Like
Yeah.
these billionaires, right?
Yeah.
Like the goal of corporate capture of these industries is community collapse. They are trying to engineer things to make it antisocial. They want to eliminate every single small business. They want to make every.
I mean, this is a thing where I think, in my opinion, maybe controversial. I kind of think Nick, he flip flopped like kind of Candace Owens. I think he's been paid by the Democrats. Maybe controversial because he's someone that could create that divide, right? Where people are angry with each other, hating each other. So, and I think, in my honest opinion, I think Democrats love it. So I don't know. It's just
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. I think that's something that people need to watch more for. One side sending a Trojan horse. Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
Trojan
yeah, yeah.
horse.
Exactly,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? That's all it is. Trojan horse. We're going to get you to think that this person is right wing, but really they are left leaning, and they're just an extremist. That's
Yeah.
it. That's just what they are. You know.
No carpooling, like to be a lonely consumer who only buys things for themselves online and doesn't talk to anyone in real life. That's what they want in real life. Like all this data center shit, like everything they're doing isn't.
Now, I don't necessarily disagree with you there, right? Rihanna, I kind of agree with you. I do think that our government want us to be divided. So I definitely agree there.
Yes, divide and conquer. They understand that at a high level because that's
Yep.
what they say on the money. Divided we stand, united we stand, divided we fall.
I
They
agree.
say that. They
I agree.
understand that at a very. They understand that more than I think the population understands that. They understand that at a very high level. That if they keep us divided, they can control us. Period.
Way trying to break up in-person engagement. And I feel like for you guys, it might be hard to answer because both of you guys are what they call like controversial public figures. Like there's places that you, like in 2018, if you were to go to a dive bar in, let's say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, you would have been in danger. You know what I mean? At that time, for you were in danger physically in a left-wing city. It's just the truth. So I feel like you guys have been deprived of the ability to have normal lives. You especially, but I mean you in general. But I feel like your controversies came a little bit later in life. For you, I feel like you haven't even been able to grow up as a normal person. Is that accurate to say?
That's true. Well, and in terms of building community back and everything like that, the data says that really the loss of society is the fact that we don't encounter people anymore anymore. For example, on your way to work, or, you know, in ways that are unexpected. People wake up in their house, which is separate from everybody else. They get in their car by themselves, drive to work by themselves, you know, and then they meet with their colleagues and everything, but then they go right home, have a beer, watch Netflix until they go to bed. Next day starts all over again. And so, you know, I think it has a lot to do with maybe how we structure the cities. I think honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways, for example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus, on your way to work. People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus.
I just feel that if you look at the data, like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years. I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, you know, becoming more expensive as well. It could have something to do with it.
You're absolutely right. It's what you're saying, Nick, is impossible to refute. Right? Because everybody has an experience with violence or witnessing crime, or whether it's just in their local newspaper or not. Is that I don't think that is in any way limited to only urban environments. I think that the top 10 poorest red states in the country, and their crime rates are 10 times what many urban centers are.
So you'd be comparing like West Virginia, coal country, disenfranchised to like an urban neighborhood.
Yeah, in terms of per capita crime, in terms of per capita murder, in terms of per capita child sexual abuse. Yeah. I think the things that people really care about, you know, things like that, is their own personal safety. Yeah. It is not limited to African-American urban or Latino-American urban environments. It's not. It exists. Carjackings do happen, but you know where they happen? They happen in Biloxi, Mississippi, just as much as they happen.
Let's see. Crime statistics. Violent crimes. F grade. I don't quite understand this thing, but whatever. Annual rate per 1,000. Larceny seems high. Okay. Okay. I don't know.
In Chicago,
I'm skeptical of that.
I mean, I just think the idea of like safety at risk crime has been. I feel like media has overblown that.
You know, everybody's going to fact check both of us on this, and but I agree with you. But my point about all of it is that you can always point to a reason, Nick. There's never been a time in which there hasn't been crime in major urban areas where you pack a lot of people in. You're right, though, is that the difference between us feeling like each other were our neighbors and that we can find some common ground is the fact, you know, you can live in existence now by the time you're 56 years old and never really have to leave your house to make a living, to, you know, you don't go to the community center anymore. And I don't know how to fix that. And I certainly
don't know how to fix back to politics, right? Because community is like an essential human need, if not the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So when you are deprived of that, you're more likely to look for a radical solution and be like, everything's broken. We need to try something really out there. So you might embrace something more reactionary on left or right to be like, fuck this, you know, we need something new. And so I'm not trying to draw this like male loneliness, like incel pipeline that the media tries to do all the time. But do you see a connection there between like people being lonely and having less friends and cultural choice taking over community value systems or community engagement and people just like driving to the extreme?
100%. I think social dislocation is probably the number one problem of our times, because you look at the young people and you're right. It is one of those essential human needs, is to connect and have that sense of familiarity, to be seen, to see and to be seen. And that's something young people don't have. And I think, by the way, you look at the way young people socialize and even the mentality, I think a lot of young people have this absolute drive to go to college. Why? It's an extension of high school. And what do high school and college have in common? It's a community. You're in the quad. You can see and be seen. There's sort of like a status, reputation. You're constantly involved with other people. And I think everybody, young people, look at when they graduate from college like falling off a cliff and now life is over. Because now you just have your job, the gym, and going back home, and that's it. And this is why a lot of young people then want to move to the big cities. Got to go to New York, got to go to Chicago or LA where it's happening. And they want to get a condo or an apartment downtown because they want to go to the bar scene, extend college a little bit longer. And I think that's just not really a sustainable way to have a society. There has to be a way for people to still have that sense of community outside of, let's say, college and high school, even into their adulthood, and then into their old age. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems going on. And I agree. I think it drives, even to your point about the whites only community in Arkansas, I think it is driving these, let's call it ghettoization or insulation of people going into these artificial values-based communities. Yeah. Because where are you going to find people? Go online, start spouting about politics, or, you know, even not just for incels and right-wingers, but even on the left. Someone like Tyler Robinson, he's on Discord. He's on Discord with all of the Overwatch players and all the LGBTQ or whatever. And I think that, you know, there's a tendency there where everybody kind of amplifies some of the resentment or feelings there. So I agree, that's a huge driver.
So for you, like back in high school when you were like first kind of starting to use the internet and all that, did you build most of your community in person outside Chicago, or was it mostly online?
When I was in high school or college? High school. In high school, I had real friends in the Model UN. That was my favorite thing. So that was.
But you were still creating like some kind of content at that time.
Not in high school, no.
Okay, so you went to BU.
Yes.
Were most of your friends like classmates there? Like when did you start to kind of build your online persona and community around your content?
It wasn't until I left college. So to that point, I had friends in college. And then when I left college and started my show independently, then it was all people online. And everybody I knew was people from my community for the most part.
But your cancellation from mainstream platforms was effectively the same thing as like a community collapse for your personal life, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it was just the cancellation, but even more just returning home from college.
What do you think would have happened to you, like career-wise and personal life-wise, if you never would have been mainstream? I mean, I guess removed from major social media platforms.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier to make friends, let's say, because being banned on Instagram, you might as well be dead. In Generation Z, that's how everybody sees each other, meets each other, talks to each other. So I think I probably have a wider, livelier circle.
Do you feel like you had less friends after that?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
No, but I mean, you said that you feel like it would have been easier to make friends.
It would have been easy to make more friends. Yeah, sure.
So aside from your career, how was your personal and social life affected in those following years?
Well, it's brutal, I mean, because everybody that I knew from high school is on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm just not on there. It's almost like you're removed from the earth. For Generation Z, I understand for older people, for different generation, people still meet up or stay in touch in other ways. But if you're not online as a young person, you might as well be dead.
Do you think you would have said some of the more extreme things that you did say if you, I guess, were allowed to remain on the mainstream internet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking back, I'm not trying to get you to take something back necessarily. What's one thing that you said when you were younger where you're like, fuck, wish I could take that back?
I don't know if I regret what I've said. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, can you think of an example of when you listen back to something, you're like, geez.
So I did this rally in 2023 called Fuentes Rally 2. And the one comment I said, we're talking about a spiritual battle between Christians and everybody else. And I said, we're in a holy war. I said, and we're going to make them die in a holy war. And the second I said that, I was like, didn't mean to say that. It's an extemporaneous speech. So you don't rehearse it, you just say things. And I was like, didn't mean that, shouldn't have said that. So it's always the how, it's always in the delivery that
Nick, I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now. The cookies in the oven.
Well, it's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, Nick. I promise you. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay, I know. But you've got to understand how incredibly, whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not, and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years of history, okay? Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about appealing to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget a thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing or no, you do because the way that I feel, because it's radical, an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And but I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think that's how I do this.
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it. And I understand that perspective. And it is offensive and it is provocative. And that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy. We're being provocative. And I think that.
And that's exactly what I think. This is the thing where this is why I don't take things seriously, right? Or at least I go about it logically instead of emotionally, right? This is why I don't take people's words on an emotional value. I will question their logic, right? Because at the end of the day, when you go about things emotional, they already win, right? When you fall into the rage bait, they have already win. They got what they want, right? Like you said, edge lording, right? Being provocative. They want you to rage bait. They want you to hate what they're saying or something like that. No, I don't give a shit. I don't care what you say. I'm not hating it, loving it, or whatever. I'm questioning it, right? I want to know your logic. I want to know why you think this. I want to combat it. If I think something differently, I want to combat your logic. Because at the end of the day, this is why when you get angry about something, when you hate something, they have already won. Because if you do that, they got you to pay attention. And that's all they care about. They don't care. Look, I'm telling you, right? Someone like Nick Fuentes, he doesn't care if you like him. He doesn't. Like I said, he only cares if you pay attention to him or not. That is it. Plenty of people hate watch other people. Plenty, right? But the problem isn't the hate watching. The problem is you don't care. That is the problem. And this is why I always try to promote. Don't care what they say. Question it. Combat it with logic. If you're in your emotions, you've already lost.
And I just want to thank you because last week on the show, I think this was happening, and you were trying to get me to come back. You're like, come back,
yes.
come back.
I knew you were. I knew you were feeling it, right? And this is and I don't disagree, right? There are times when when I'm debating Allen, I feel it too, but I don't let it happen, right? Because I've said this, he's been a jerk to me. I mean, it is fine, right? It is what it is, but I'm not going to fall for that, right? Because we probably all see it, right? So many times, I don't know, a while back, right? Andrew Wilson debated that lesbian. He beat her throughout the whole debate, but the only time when she talked about his wife, everyone said that he lost just because of that, just because he got angry. It was a fact that he won. He beat her from post to post, right? He destroyed her.
Yes.
But everyone think he lost because he got emotional. I don't agree, right? We are humans. Men are humans. We are allowed to be emotional. But that's the sad part of the internet, right? When you are debating, when you're having a conversation, if you are the one who is extremely emotional, people are going to view that you can't debate, you can't be logical because you're in your feelings, right? I don't necessarily agree. We're humans, right? Men can be emotional. Men are allowed to be emotional, but when we're trying to have an argument, a debate, people would view that. So I that's why I wanted to pull you back, and you know what? Don't let him win.
I want to say about that situation and about what we was just talking about in the chat, that certain words are outdated they're outdated. You can't use fascism or what was we talking about? I can't remember what we were talking about. But you can't use certain words because they have changed. Oh, communism and socialism. It's been so much change that the original, you could be right about the original meaning of it, but it has changed throughout the years so many times that it's like, what are we talking about, really? I think that has to be said. Like the form of communism that we have now is totally different than the inceptions of it. Just like any ideology should be, it should grow. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think we're not holding into account that your words change meaning. Really, they do. You know what I'm saying? They just become more different and more changed and more polished and more lethal in a way. And if we don't see it that way, we're really just cheating the word. We're cheating ourselves and we're cheating the word. That's how I feel.
No, I agree.
Overbearing sense for our entire.
I'm the king of edgelord.
Let's let Nick explain the psychology.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist. That makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago, it was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. And it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young.
Well, Brianna, I mean, this is a thing where the outcome stays the same, even if the word changes. But we have to agree on the outcome, right? We have to agree on the outcome. The things that I really dislike people using the word fascism in America together is absolutely 100% wrong. 100% wrong, right? You cannot point to me how any American leader is fascist. You can't, right? You can't point to me how America is fascist. So I'm not saying that, if the outcome is the same, correct. But the outcome of America isn't Nazi Germany. It's not the same. So that's the thing where, okay, well then, you know what? I'm sorry. If you're a guy, that's even worse. Right? It's even worse. I'm sorry, right? It's even worse that you're a guy and you're thinking like this. I think it's worse. Because let me be honest. There's no logic to it, right? You're just spouting stuff out, right? And I don't this is the thing where Yeah, I mean, like it's not like and like I said, I respect different people's different opinion, right? But I wanted to go about it logic, right? I want to test your logic. And when people just say fascist this, oligarchy that, this, that, okay, you're saying me words, great. I'm not saying that you can't say it, but you got to prove it, right? You have to have an actual argument, right? You can't say just this and then boom, that's my argument, that's done. No, because then you're not proving anything, right? You're not proving anything. So, in my opinion, and bro, right? I respect difference of opinion, right? I mean, bars know it, right? This is why I invite people who have difference of opinion, right? Alan or Zyrax. But again, you know, yeah, we're watching a video to dissect it, to react to it, right? We don't have to agree to it. And, because this is the thing, right? That's America, right? America. And here's the thing where to say Nick Fuentes is a Nazi is kind of you literally lost already, right? Because he's won. That's what he wants you to do, right? If you hate him, he's already won. And this is why I talk to bars like this, right? Because you find his words triggering, he's won. He's gotten you to do what he wanted you to do. I don't give a shit what Nick Fuentes says, right? That's the freedom of, that is America. That's America. Freedom of speech. Say whatever fuck you want. All right? But I'm going to hold you to it, right? I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to dissect it. I'm going to react to it. And I'm going to talk about it. That's what we should be doing. So, again, yeah, Biden's he was a drug addict, but we should hold him accountable. We should talk about it, react to it. That's the thing.
Person, you want to rebel, you want to be defiant, you want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate him. To be honest, I have, like I said, I mean, like if you see the title of the stream, I don't think Nick Fuentes is a good role model, right? Because again, it's okay to have a difference of opinions, to have certain opinions, but you either have to stand on it, you have to stand on your opinions, or you have to be man enough to correct your mistakes. I think a true man is a man that can correct his mistakes when he thinks he made a mistake.
Facts.
Ethan, what is up? Yeah, this is the thing, right? Reacting to Nick Fuentes. I used to like him, but is a slimy as fuck. There are other people who are better in the space that Nick. But he did red pill a lot of people, so kudos to guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, I think Nick Fuentes isn't the worst of the worst, but again, he ain't that great, right? Again,
I think they call him an N-word is crazy. I think calling him an N-word is crazy because America was founded in opposition to these things, really. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
it makes no sense to say America's fascist when basically America was founded to not be fascist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, now I'm not saying that we don't have gripes. You know what I'm saying?
we
We all
definitely
got gripes. We all get, like you said, at the core of America is corruption. Period.
Yes,
You know,
I agree.
so
There's
that
corruption.
I will say that, but to say fascist is kind of
This is the thing.
like
We don't realize
words mean.
we're weakening these words. We're making these words weaker, right? We're making these words weaker by like, I'm sorry. Right? Have you ever experienced what it's like to deal with an actual Nazi during Nazi Germany? You don't. I'm pretty sure they were horrifying. So to say a kid, this guy's what, 25, 28? Like, literally, come on.
And he's weak. You know,
Yeah.
those N-word people were hard body. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't just walking past them willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? This Nick guy, he's nothing. It's like, don't give him that much power. Like
yes,
like
exactly.
you said before, don't give him that much power.
Exactly.
He's not even. Nick is probably a 1 or a 2, and a Nazi is like a 9, or you know what I'm saying, 8, 9.
Definitely.
You know, for real. It's like, don't give him that much power. You know, for real.
100%. I agree.
lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate, people just roll their eyes. Now, when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear if someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke, people go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending like it's some great travesty.
So you think the new?
You see, this is literally what we're just saying, right? Again, when we do all this, when we say all this shit, we're just giving them power, right? Again, if you are triggered by his word, you're triggered by him. It isn't what it is because you literally is like, oh my God, this guy is so terrible. This guy, no, I don't care, right? When someone says shit, I don't equate that to be an actual Nazi, right? They don't. They just speak a whole lot of shit.
You know, I think, you know, like you said, don't empower these people. You know what I'm saying? Don't give them the power. And what I'm trying to learn is that sometimes when you,
I'm not saying you particularly. I'm not saying you in particular. I'm just saying in general, right? I'm not. I don't.
Just like you said, that's the benchmark. I think that's a benchmark of a real man. When somebody says something, you take it personally, but not personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I take it internally and see how it applies to me, but I don't let it get my panties in a bunch. You know what I'm saying? But like what we talking about? You don't let you what I'm learning is that some people are broken. Some people cannot be helped. You know, I would like to take us all to the promised land, but that ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Some people are so broken and some people are so stuck into their way of thinking that that's all they know. It's like their whole identity is wrapped up in thinking the way they think. So some people you just gotta let, you know, that's what I'm trying to learn. Some people you just gotta let them be. You know, some people are what they are, where they are. They're always gonna be there until they get burnt badly. You know, and that's what it is. And that's what it is. Until you get burnt, like Alan. Until he gets burnt, he's not going to understand what we're trying to say. And he really said that he'd rather somebody stab him in the back. He really said that it's crazy. It's crazy to me, you know, just that way of thinking. And some people are not going to think they can only think that way because their whole identity is wrapped up in that way of thinking. You know, that's it for them.
This thing where it's because he didn't understand that analogy, right? You probably heard me say that analogy a few times where I'd rather deal with a Republican because if anything, they will stab me to my face. While if you deal with a Democrat, they will hug you and stab you in your back. It's because is that if I know a Republican, if they're shitty or if they're racist or whatever, because they will show you it, right? They will show you how shitty of a person they are to your face if they're going to do it at all. While Democrats, in general, this is all in general, right? You can say the left, progressive, Democrats, whatever, is that they will be friendly to you. They will be nice to you. They will say, "Oh, we're for women, we're for minorities, we're for this, we're for that," and then hug you. Guess what? If you disagree with them, they will be sexist, racist, misogynist. They will be terrible. So that's when they will stab you in the back, right? If you agree, you're friends. Once you disagree, that's when the backstabbing comes.
Yeah, that just kind of threw me off the fact that we were going back and forth, and he was like, "Well, at least I have time." I was like, "You're not going to have time to spend $1 million. What are you not understanding about that?" Well, I'll have time to spend $1 million. No, you won't. You won't have time to spend $1 million because they're gonna stab you in the back as soon as they come and hug you to give it to you. You're not going to have the time to. Some people don't and that's just me. This is me saying it. That's why somebody is unread. That's why somebody who doesn't know history, because that's not how things are. Like you said, life is not fair. Life is not fair. And people are not going to let you spend a dime of it. If they give you some money and they plan to stab you in the back, they're not going to let you spend a dime of that at all. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the point that, you know, sometimes it's missed, that you're not going to get you're not going to get the chance. You know what I'm saying? They're going to take you out as soon as they can. They're going to use you to get a vote or whatever they're using you for, and then they're going to take you out. That's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at history, plenty of times it shows you that. It shows you that over and over and over again. That these people will use a certain segment of people and then make them the enemy. That's what these higher ups do, in my opinion. These higher ups, like they divided, united we stand, divided we fall. They know that. You know what I'm saying?
And this is the thing where I don't really vote. I don't vote because I don't see, I see both sides, not a good side, right? I see either side, you know, they don't call to me anyway. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Ideas or, you know, different way of life or from a different culture. You know, we make jokes all the time about the fact that I'm like a far right guy and I'm Mexican. People say I'm a white supremacist and I'm Mexican. And people make a joke that a lot of far right people are Hispanic. And I think that's a consequence that there's very little genuine racial hatred in anybody's DNA anymore, or any kind of hatred. And I think that's positive, but that went too far. I think some of the other stuff went too far as well.
You know, one of these strange things about sitting in a room with these two is that they agree on almost nothing, but they've both lived the same nightmare. In America.
What if you went? Wait. What if you were and identified as being Mexican, and they came to you and they didn't tell you that's the reason that they gave you all the bad committee assignments?
That would be unfair.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm just saying.
That's not the point, isn't it?
And
so you may find it funny because you pass as a white Anglo Christian.
Do you think I pass?
What?
You think I pass as a white Anglo Christian?
Well, I not only think you pass, I think you identify as a yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. No, but really, for real. And my point is that I heard you do an interview. Okay, when I literally on the right up here, it's like you were talking.
I think that's impossible. I honestly think it's impossible. We have to form new government. I think that's delusional, right? That's delusional.
Yes.
We have a two-party system, a strong two-party system, right? I mean, like every year, every election, we have a third party, right? We have independents. Not a single one of them ever, in my opinion, I've never seen it, right? I don't know if I mean, you know, I've never seen it, have ever gotten, you know, any traction. So to be honest, here's my thing, right? I don't know if you guys share the same opinion. I don't give a shit. I don't care what the government does, right? All I care about is like myself, my family, and my community. That is it. I'm sorry. What the government does is what they do. As long as they're not busting in my house, right? As long as they're trying to do the best for America, for however they do it, right? I'm not saying that they should make America, you know, perfect, but as long as they're doing the best they can or whatever, I care about what's happening around in my circle, right? Because at the end of the day, it is unless we can have a majority of people, right? We can't make a change. We can't, right? Unless let's say hypothetically, there's like 160 million men, right, in the US. Unless 150 million men band together, we won't do shit, right? Unless like that's the thing where you can't change things, right? It's either you have money and power or you have a majority. That is it. So there's nothing in this world where there's a majority in. So
you gotta take it by force. That's the thing that the people don't want to hear it, and it might sound messed up, but that's how everything has been done in history.
Yeah, but the thing is that
history.
But see, that's the thing where the problem. I don't disagree. Right, we could take it by force, but the problem is that America isn't Somalia, right? America isn't, let's say, I don't know, fucking else, Venezuela or whatever, right? Or Cuba or shit like that. We're not those countries. So there's enough Americans that are doing good. That's like, I don't know about your life bars, but like, you know, I have a house, I have a good job, I have a good, you know, I have a good net worth. What the fuck? What am I going to take over the government to do? What? Oh my God, I want to be a millionaire. The fuck that? Like, I'm doing fine, right? So unless the majority of Americans are living like in a shithole or like have no rights, no, it's like you have. This is why like we are a little bit delusional, right? And I don't disagree. Our government is corrupt, right? Or but the problem is our government isn't corrupt to the same degree like Cuba or any of these other countries, right? They're not that corrupt to the point where, oh my God, all of America, or I don't know, 70, 80% of Americans are suffering. We're not, right? I'm sorry. America is, I've said this before, America is the greatest country in the world because the majority of Americans aren't suffering, right? We have things to complain about, but we're not suffering like that, right? We're not Cuba. We're not Venezuela. We're not these other countries who their citizens are actually suffering, right? Literally suffering. So yeah, we're not going to be able to band together, right? We're not being band together because the majority of Americans aren't truly suffering. Now we have things to complain about, like high grocery prices, high gas prices. But again, even if it's high, Americans can still majority of Americans can still afford it, even if it's high. So, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think this is where the individualism versus more communal thinking comes into play because yes, you're correct. Right now, and we're talking about today. We're talking about tomorrow. Yes, but we're already seeing. Me and you personally seen how fast stuff changed 5, 10 years, and we could be Somalia. I think that's my part. I think that's my point. And it's like I said the other day. It's like I said the other day. It's like I said the other day that my children I have to leave them here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, bars. Come on. I mean, like, your son. If your son's having problems with women, I can agree with it. Your son's like, your son or daughter is living like people from Somalia. Come on, let's not. I don't like to fearmonger. I don't like to.
You don't think if it continues?
No.
So you don't think if it continues? That's what because I've seen it. Like I said, that's
where have you seen it? We're just as old. Where have you seen it in America?
I ain't seen it with my own eyes, but I've seen in history how far things can fall. You know what I'm saying? And I think the awareness at least it needs to be there. Now,
here's the thing. My thing is like I don't, but you got to think about it differently, right? In the sense that America did have a depression, right? We had a depression, right? Literally, millions upon millions were starving, like zero in the bank, shit like that, right? I agree. But you have to think about in relatively, right? So our nation, we've gone up to this, right? So let's say during the Depression, it was this and it fell down. But we've gone up higher, right? We've done better than ever before. So even if America experienced something terrible, right, and it goes down, well, we go down to what? We go down to like how we were in 2000. Okay, we're not going to go back to the Depression age. I can't see that, right? I literally, I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see that we can. I just don't, right? Because again, we've gone so high, right? Because I saw where there's going to be the most highest transfer of wealth than ever before, right? Millennials are going to, I think boomers or whoever, right? The transfer of wealth will be higher than ever before. So it's just there's no sign. The signs are not there, right? In my opinion, because you think about this, right? Even COVID didn't produce a depression in our world, right? In in our our country. It didn't even produce a depression. So I just, if one of the biggest disasters in our lifetime, like one of the biggest disasters in our lifetime, right? The COVID, if it didn't destroy America, I can't imagine what would, right? Unless we get a world war in America, then I can't understand. I can't see what would, right? I really don't.
Yeah, I like I said, I agree with you. I pretty much do agree with you, but I think the awareness needs to at least be there. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
number one, with the Great Depression, that's what was that the 30s? Was that the
yeah.
30s?
I think that was around there. Yep, I think it was around there.
That was around the same time when Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all that stuff happened. So they was in a depression. You know what I'm saying? People like me and you, maybe not so much. You know what I'm saying? I think that needs to be they see that's the thing. Revisionist history. If they can get you to believe what they're saying, they already got you, man. In my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You have to look and see what actually happened. Like I said, it's a surface level and then it's a underground level of thinking. You know what I'm saying? In my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And like I said, Tulsa, Oklahoma, when black people were upright, were going somewhere, and everywhere else it was the Great Depression. So which is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it was we on the up? They were on the decline. You know what I'm saying? So that needs to be said. They were on the decline. People like me and you who know how to farm and know how to do this and have the knowledge to feed our families. Were we in a depression? I think they were just mad at us that they couldn't get the resources from us.
Mm.
That's just what I think. And I forgot what else I was about to say, but yeah, you're right. But you're right. I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? It's no reason to be doom and gloom. It really
Yeah,
isn't. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And hopefully you're right that it won't get to that point. But I'm just saying that if things get bad and we don't have certain staples, we're gonna it's really gonna get bad. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Uh
My
huh.
opinion.
Uh huh.
About how you were raised on like Mark Levin before in high school,
Right.
and the thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was to the callers.
Mhm.
I don't see. I don't get that. I like the joke about the cookies. It may be a joke and it may be edgelording, and you may not really mean it, but you got to realize the cruelty to it, and without going like, oh, like wham, like people got to stop crying about the past. And that's the thing is that I think that you have such an opportunity to talk to a generation of disaffected, angry, legitimately angry people in a way in which is positive without having to do that shit. And by the way, and I'm not holding you responsible for the end of my conception of Western civilization, which is different than yours.
Mhm.
But I just don't get it. I don't get why you find the cruelty. And I think that, by the way, I think that that's why you like Trump. I mean, I'm making like a very unfair leap because about everything, by the way. It's not his fault that we're in a war with Iran that he's ended 38 times and started 39.
Mhm.
It's not his fault that inflation's high. It's not his fault that the wall didn't get built. It's not his fault that ICE is killing people on the streets in these places. It's the cruelty of it. Maybe it's a generational thing. I got friends who are Jewish that are going to be really, really fucking pissed off that I'm sitting next to you. And what do I
have such a different opinion of that? Why should we have to explain ourselves to talk to anybody? And why is it that saying the wrong words or making a particular joke makes it so the Jewish person wouldn't want to watch my show? I have a lot of Jewish fans. I mean, some of my best friends are Jewish. I've had Jewish employees, and they recognize that, just because I'm not necessarily nice all the time, doesn't mean I'm hateful, doesn't mean, I don't even think they see it as cruel. I think they see it as it's a little rough around the edges. And maybe that's the difference, is I guess it's just attributing this weight to something that became considered a joke and maybe doesn't have a cruel intention behind it. Like, Mark Levin, you got to remember, at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. It's entertainment. People call in, he gets frustrated with them. It's part of what I do on my show. And it's not always nice, but it's funny. And I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I mean, the thought that I would, like, for example, with you, people would say, why do you talk to Hunter Biden? His father and his DOJ froze your money and put you on a no-fly list. I'd say, so what? I mean, it's just talking. I don't think talking's a big deal. You know,
Froze my money and put me on a no-fly list too.
there you go. See, so we got that in common.
So a different question that I have that kind of weaves everything together. How do you think like October?
I really think that Nick was kind of weak here. Why, if he like, I would have put this weak ass man in his place. I mean, again, I'm not a fan. I'm not saying I'm a fan of Nick, but like, I really dislike when people think that they're high and mighty, right? People think that they are on some kind of moral high ground and they have a right to say shit to you. Okay, you think you have a right to say? I literally told you what his fucking father did, to the black community, and yet this old white man think that he's like he's some kind of hero to the black community. He's not. His family has hurt the black community a whole lot more than the words Nick Fuentes have said. So I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, Bill Clinton has did more to hurt black people than a lot of people than Trump. A lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just don't.
Exactly.
I think I'm kind of where you are, but like adjacent to where you are. Yeah, I don't care that. I really don't care that much because unless you're, like you said, unless you're coming, you're trying to station troops in my bedroom. I really don't care. I really don't care. It is what it is. You stay where you are.
7th and the subsequent like pro-Palestine movement and the online world it created led to a growing audience on the right.
October 7th in particular. Yeah. Well, I think it highlighted and brought to the forefront how captured the right wing is by Israel, which is very unique. I think the Democrats and Netanyahu, it's just the Likudniks, it's just the Israel lobby. But what would you say about someone like Larry Ellison? I mean, somebody like that, I don't think fits neatly into this, let's say, problem of Netanyahu.
As far as installing Barry Weiss and whatnot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because this is somebody who's not Israeli. He's not even a religious Jew, but he's ethnically Jewish and has this deep affinity for the state of Israel.
I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
And is using and mobilizing his power and resources and connections to benefit Israel in the private sector. And so if you were to say, what's a law that we could pass to...
Yes, I kind of see that point.
That kind of influence, what would it look like? He's an American citizen. He can't buy a media company and hire Barry Weiss to run CBS News, and yet we recognize that's a big problem.
I just feel the conflation of like anti-Zionism and like Holocaust denial played into the hands of the Israeli propaganda apparatus, because then they can say, hey, look, these people that oppose what we're doing in Palestine also don't think the Holocaust happened. It's a big jump in the public perception.
It was almost to me as if that was your intent. To lose any legitimacy about any argument as it relates to Israel and the Likud government is to say those edgelording things or whatever.
Jews are money changers, bullshit artists, psychopaths, charlatans, grifters, manipulators.
I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that, including myself. It delegitimizes everything because I don't think that you a little bit of more compassion.
Let's try to stay a little. I don't want to do any character attacks on Nick.
I'm not attacking his character. I'm not attacking. I'm saying what I promise you. I'm not.
As far as compassion, I'm more just being straightforward. Do you feel like the rise in anti-Semitic online influencers post October 7th has given Israel more ammunition to work with in terms of casting everyone who opposes what they're doing as just like a rabid Jew hater?
In some cases, yeah, in some cases, sure. But I also think that's overstated because I think that, look, let's just be honest. I do believe the political left wants to make the Israel issue very narrow. And they want to say that the issue is this genocide in Palestine. And on some level, they think that the Israeli government is racist.
Bang pig, you bloodthirsty
vibes. But I think that people on the left, they may be guilty of maybe caring more about Palestine than they do about America.
Nick, but the left didn't cancel you. The right canceled you first. The right canceled you first in Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, and those were the people that canceled. They may have utilized the tools of the left, or what you call the left, to be able to do that. But it was the right that canceled you. And by the way, what I would consider a radical right. The Daily Wire, to me, is a radical right.
I don't think they're even reactionary. I don't think they're that conservative at all. Ben Shapiro, I mean, he's not like he's in favor of mass migration.
In 2016, they were alt-right.
No, they were not.
Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire they were to the right of Mitt Romney.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And that's
more conservatives.
Yeah. My point was that's who you were canceled by.
I was also canceled by the left.
No, I know. They came along. They came along because some of the more egregious things that you said is edgelording. They came along. And whether you call it canceling or saying like, what the fuck? This is what I call it. What the fuck? I think it's funny. I'm able to say, I don't find it fucking funny. I didn't find it funny then. I don't find it funny now. I didn't find it funny that some of the things that, you said about me. But I'm willing to sit here and listen to you because I want to get to this. And this is all the people in the world but you could look at and say he doesn't believe anything.
So for context for the viewer, Donald Trump is currently the sitting president of the U.S. For our audience abroad. The war with Iran was supposed to be over. Now we're back in business, baby. Khomeini had a pretty sick funeral if you saw the video. So you guys don't like Trump? You used to like him.
I did.
You've always hated him. He's trying to destroy your life.
Yeah.
You guys were cool. You guys hung out once at Mar-a-Lago with Kanye. You've never hung out with Trump, right? Would you want to?
No.
If you
do I want to? Yeah.
Okay.
Look, man, can we get him? Can we get him in the
no,
hotel?
so I want you to imagine.
Let's get him in the
I want you to
hotel.
imagine he's in the hotel with us.
Yeah.
That's Trump.
I want to ask Donald Trump anything because I know, and I think you would agree with me, is that Donald Trump isn't going to give me an authentic answer. Donald Trump never gives an authentic answer. He gives what people.
I think what the hypocrisy there. It's like your father is literally that. Your father did.
Right.
It's like that's why this is why I don't care for people like this. They think they're on a moral high ground. Your family is not anything special, right? Your family is not better than Trump. So, and again, I'm not like saying I'm a big Trump fan, right? If you ever watch my stuff, I've been extremely critical of Trump's foreign plans, right? I don't agree with it. So, but it's like I literally hate the hypocrisies of some people.
Yeah, most of your videos are, in my opinion, most of your videos are kind of criticizing Trump and his, you know, his motive, what he's doing, really. You know, but
I said I think Trump should focus more in America. His tension should be completely in America. So I don't give a shit of what's happening. I don't care what's happening in Palestine. To be honest, I'm gonna be terrible. I don't even care if they're wiped off of the face of the earth. I don't care if Israel is. I don't care Ukraine. I don't care. I don't care about other countries.
It's all stolen land to me.
I don't. I mean, stolen or not, I don't care because again, I believe in America first. I want Americans to be doing the best they can. So when we're caring about other places, I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah, but what I think they're going through is it's a character thing. Nick Fuentes has zero character, and that's what I think it is. Now the Joe Biden's son might be he might be faking it, you know what I'm saying? But he at least has the understanding of character, and he probably has some, you know, some character, you know, probably, maybe, you know, maybe
I think
has
he's faking it.
Yeah, he's probably faking it. But Nick Fuentes, not only does he not have no character, he doesn't even have the understanding of character. And I think that's where they're bumping heads, you know. Because like you said, that joke he made, it's not, that was in poor taste. It's a such thing as in poor taste, and there's a such thing as making a joke, you know, to me. Just to me. And I'm a funny guy. People say I'm funny. People like my jokes. People think I'm funny. But it's a such thing as in poor taste. You know what I'm saying? And that joke did, from what I got from it, was in poor taste. You know.
Yeah.
285.
He's a big guy. He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, big guy. But by virtue of every picture ever taken of anyone that's 6'3", he's not 6'3".
I am.
Okay. Yeah, I know you are. Thank you. You're 6'2.5". Maybe that's maybe. But my point is that the reason I don't have a question for him is because I'm absolutely certain that he is not going to give me an authentic answer. Look, he came into the Oval Office in the transition this time, and he told my dad that he thought that he did an amazing job. He did an amazing job with the economy. He did an amazing job. That with NATO, he did an amazing job, and that he got a raw deal from his side, and anything he could do, particularly for Hunter. Hunter got screwed. Whatever I can do, you let me know. Bullshit. He then went out, and he has now since then done nothing but blame Joe Biden for every single one of his problems.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess. Joe Biden handed us over a country that
to end with certainty the nuclear program that the Iranians at that time had put out in fatwa.
He did all. You're wrong at all.
As strong as if the Pope had released an encyclical. But what did he do? He kills the Ayatollah. We get a son that now has a far more radical and far greater ties to the IRGC. And what do we have? The Straits of Hormuz are still closed. He's on day one.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
And I didn't hear anybody on the right and say that's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. He said that he would build a wall. I don't believe in building. I mean, people believed or led to believe that there was this thing called the Biden crime family, right? I know that you know is that I didn't do a single piece of business when my dad was president. I made basically $200,000 a year selling paintings. I picked the thing that was the furthest possible for 1.3. Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the picked up the phone and called him that I know of. And when I listen to you and I listen to what you do, is my question is how did you not see that before? Whether you think you're supposed to be wearing a mask or not.
The question for Nick is, how did you not realize 6 years ago that Trump would be this sort of letdown?
Because he doesn't hold it. You know, there's no rat.
We had John McCain, we had Mitt Romney, and the perception on the right is that they were insufficiently conservative and that they were losers. All they do is lose because they don't fight. There was this perception that the Democrats are ruthless fighters. Obama crushed in 2008, crushed when we thought he really should have lost in 2012. That was a Republican perception that Romney let us down. And so when Trump came on the scene in 2016, it was new, it was refreshing. He seemed like somebody that was really going to take on not just the Democrats, but also the media on our behalf. And what's more, you got to think about the mood of the moment in 16 as well, and the message Trump was giving. Trump said in 16, it's just me and my son and my wife. We don't have any donors. We don't have any special interests.
More than $100 million put in of my money, meaning I'm not taking all of this big money from all of these different corporations like she's doing.
We're going to put America first, make the country great again. This is a very appealing message. And I talk all the time on my show about it, and realizing now that it was obviously a scam and now obviously unfulfilled completely. And you're right, Trump is non-ideological. The message was brilliant because it said, one, the system is broken. America's not great anymore, but it used to be. We can make it great again, but in order to do it, we need to actually bypass the system. Why is it that we never have victories? Why is it that things don't change? Because of money. He said, and that's why I'm different. I'm rich. I'm a billionaire if I self-fund my campaign and don't take.
This is why I say we can't be a fascism, right? In the sense that you can't be there's so many layers to the government. Even if you want to, which I'm not saying that maybe Trump does or doesn't, but even if you do want to, you can't, right? Because you cannot bypass the Senate, you can't bypass the House and just do whatever you want, right? So this is the problem. The president can say a whole lot of shit. At the end of the day, if others don't agree with you, you can't do shit. The president isn't a king, right? He isn't a king, right? So whether you like him, hate him, whatever, the problem is that we always disagree with each other, right? Democrats disagree with Republicans. Hell, Republicans disagree with Republicans. This is why it's almost, in my opinion, almost impossible to be a fascist nation, right? Because no single person, no single party has 100% control, right? You gotta think, right? We have the Senate, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we have the presidency. Republican has the Senate. Republicans have the House, and yet not even all of them agree with each other, right? And they can't even pass every single thing they want because Democrats will still fight you on everything, or Republicans don't agree on everything. So how can you have a fascist nation when honestly there is no one single power? That's the thing where it's like, and I'm not saying that our system isn't broken, right? I can't imagine why can't we pass anything? There's so much red tape, so much bureaucracy, so much corruption, so much like shit that's not transparent. But that's the thing where I'm not saying that I shouldn't be critical, right? So
Super PAC money, then I won't have to listen to the lobbyists and the special interests. I could fire the people I need to fire, do the things I need to do. That was like a very too complicated. We're already in it. And so I didn't vote. I didn't vote in 2024. And I told my followers not to vote for Trump for that reason. And it was only until a year later, after all the exuberance died down and people saw the bearing of the Epstein files, the war in Iran, people said, you know what? You were right. You were right about Trump. Even Alex Jones told me you were right about Trump. I was all in on him. So, I mean, as far as him being vaporware is concerned and a scammer, and fundamentally, you're 100% right. No ideological core. He's not an ideological guy. Yeah, it is.
He's literally all about him.
And I agree. He's a cruel narcissist.
Yeah. And
you said I like the cruelty. I do not like the cruelty.
No, by the way, no, I didn't say you like the cruelty. I said I'm listening to you is because it was.
I'm going to say this, right? I am critical of Trump, but this is why I think people like Nick Fuentes is disingenuous and have no fucking it's like he's an idiot. Okay, so let's say this hypothetically: if Trump didn't win, Kamala won. Is that what you wanted? I've said this before. I didn't vote. I didn't vote for Trump, but like I'd rather if I was forced to, right, I would rather still vote for Trump. I would have picked Trump over Kamala. Why the hell would I
Yes, I
want
know.
Kamala? That's
I
absolute
wouldn't
asinine.
mind.
So I don't know. I think this is why Nick is a fucking idiot. So you rather have Kamala as the president? You're stupid as hell. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see too much of a difference really, but yeah, I damn sure didn't want to be under Kamala's rule. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I didn't.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
agree.
It was, yeah, and that's so. I'm not saying that.
I don't really think I really don't think the outcome would have been the same. I really don't. In my honest opinion, I think under Kamala, I to be honest, in my opinion, I think it would have been a lot worse. Right? I think it would have been a lot worse. Now, I'm not saying that Trump didn't mess up shit. Like I said, the man should have focused in America, but I don't think Kamala would have made America any better. And I think she would just I think she would have helped make us more divided, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I agree.
The Transformers sure would have loved it if she won.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
They would have loved it if she won. But other
Yes.
than that, I don't think her making that would have been her claim to fame. You know, like ushering that in. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. But yeah.
Sunday, so that kind of,
I guess a Gen Z and millennial, right?
no, it's over. People see what he's made of. And Hunter's right. He's a liar. He is a liar. He is a bullshit artist. And especially, you look at what he did with the.
And this is why I said, like this. It's like, name me a leader that didn't lie. I'm sorry. And again, I'm not trying to defend Trump, but it's like you're not being consistent. Name me a leader that doesn't lie, that doesn't say a whole lot of shit. Right? It's like,
yeah,
it's like you.
Nobody's done what they said they was going to do. Nobody's done what they said they was going to do.
Right? I just think I think that's period. Right? I think that's no matter what, whoever we would have voted would have been this. Would have what would they say is the truth? It's just no.
Epstein files with the war in Iran. What he did to Thomas Massey,
a guy named Thomas Massey.
Let's say the income you made during Biden was ill-gotten. For the sake of example, it's just doesn't hold a candle. It doesn't even come close, doesn't even touch Jared Kushner, Howard Lutnick, Steve Witkoff, Don Jr., Trump himself. It's just a different sport. It's a different game entirely. And I want this, but I think it'll basically drag this administration to a halt. And then 28, I think there's an opportunity for a clean reset with both sides, right and left.
Hey guys, quick thing before we get back to Hunter and Nick.
Coming from before Teal, who derives his fortune from Palantir.
And now he's a Catholic like you and me.
Well, he's a convert, so,
You wear the convert.
So do you think that Trump's unfulfillment of his campaign promises was a result of him being like compromised by somebody connected to that structure, or do you think he always just never cared?
I don't know that he never cared. I just think that, me, I'm an idealist. So I think about the ideas and the concepts. Trump is a businessman. And so I think with him, everything's transactional. And I said this in 2024. Trump knew the voters would swallow anything. The voters would not walk away from the table because they were enamored with him.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
So he knew he could break every promise with them in order to fulfill promises for the donor class, which is little tech, the Israel lobby, and Wall Street. The bankers, Tim Mellon, the big asset manager, you have to do business. And not enough people did that. But I mean, that's fundamentally his flaw.
Your critique of this like elite power structure sounds like vaguely anti-capitalist.
It's not anti-capitalist. Capitalism says large amounts of capital will be held in private hands, which I believe in. I am a capitalist. But I think what is happening is that it's the way that money is used in government. There needs to be a distinct and separate national power that subordinates the money power to it. The problem is the billionaires buy all the elections, buy all the media, control public perception.
I agree. I mean, this is the thing where I'm pretty sure that this is why I like Trump. Like one of the things I do like about Trump is he's a whole lot more transparent than any other leader we have. I don't think Trump has. I don't necessarily think Trump lies, or I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he doesn't lie. I'm saying that, it was like, could you be surprised that Trump made money during his presidency? No. Like, seriously, he made money throughout his whole life. The man is about making money. So, oh my God, I'm surprised he made money. I've yet to see that he made money thanks to taxpayers, right? He made money thanks to crypto and his own businesses, right? It's not like he's like dipping in money from the, I don't know, fucking I don't know, the IRS, whatever. So, that's the thing.
And so really, we're all subsidiary then to the market. So I support capitalism, but it just has to be underneath the nation, underneath the state.
It seems like you have a pretty optimistic perspective on the year 2028.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president 28.
Kind of keep coming back to this like clean election.
That's really funny. But no,
But it seems pointed at me.
I know, but but the thing is,
He was dissing you in that video.
Yeah, a little bit.
Staring down the camera like you make.
exactly the purpose of you being tiny percentage of the population that is control the levers of government from the White House down to the mayor's office in New York City or Peoria, Illinois, to that matter, and even more so as you go further down that chain. And so, maybe off-putting, particularly from somebody coming from your side, is that he's delivering, man. You know what? I mean, he's really delivering. Like I saw somebody going after Mamdani for some of this stuff, and particularly about rent control. It was like, well, how do you think that the middle class was built after World War II and the GI Bill and rent control buildings that created those communities that we were talking about an hour ago?
The GI Bill put the purchase market in middle class.
Created the availability for somebody that was 26 years old that had a job with the MTA to be able to live and work, keep walking there, and go to a park that where the water fountains were. That's what I see him trying to do. I mean, by the way, it's just so tired and ridiculous. He's a communist. Like, it's about the communists. Like, who even says that anymore? Nobody. Like, what? It was like 1981, and we're watching Rocky V and worried about the communists. You know what I mean? I just don't. My whole Philly legitimacy was just blown right there. But it's just kind of. So I look at somebody like Mamdani. I think, well, he's just talking about good government. Like, what do you think about healthcare? Don't you think that there should be a single-payer system? Don't you think that there should be some guarantee as a right? Because I don't know, catastrophic event as it relates to your
Minimum level of coverage,
Yeah.
catastrophic insurance. So in principle, I agree.
which
yes.
is Medicare for all to a certain degree.
Right.
It's like, let me say this, right? If I was a fan of Nick Fuentes, I would literally not be a fan anymore because the man did no pushback. This is why I said he's fake. I'm sorry. I don't care how much difference of opinion you have on Trump, but to pretty much be buddy or have no pushback for Hunter Biden and his family and the things that his side has done, I think is ridiculous. Absolutely. It just shows you that again, this is why I said Nick Fuentes is a fake conservative. He's fake. This is why I kind of believe that he may be a plant, right? He's just like, he's someone so you can create the whole divide within the, community or the party. So yeah, I think he's fake.
I just don't like his face, man. He got a very punchable face. He has a very punchable face. Yeah, I just don't like his smugness. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like nobody smug. I never have. I never will. That's just me. I don't like his. I definitely don't like a lot of his views. And like I said, character is I say this all the time. Character is a thing. This thing is character, and he has none to me. And I can't be around. I would never be a fan of him because he lacks character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, anybody that I watch or I'm a fan of has character. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, whatever. Why would, like you said, I don't care. I don't care about you either way. You know what I'm saying? Really don't. It's like, okay, if you think that, okay.
Yeah.
So,
I thought a lot of the stuff that some people that got elected in 2016, 2020, even during the Tea Party, kind of movement was, egregious. Again, egregious. If it's a legitimate rape, the female, what do we do? Can you at least come a little bit to this way?
If you can come a little this way.
I can. Here's where I can come, is this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
About the Holocaust things?
Oh. About that.
I mean, really.
I do. And listen, here's what I'll say. Now that I'm older, I do think that's not the best approach. Younger guy, when I'm 18, 20, imprisoned for the most part, and a lot of young people think that's funny and everything like that. I think that it also goes with the medium as well. Live streaming, social media, that's just what it rewards. So yeah, I think that people should.
Okay,
absolutely.
For real. And as it relates to when you talk about Israel, and Netanyahu, Likud government, what's happening now, what's happened for the past 20 years in terms of whether the funding to Israel, whether you think it is, it's really important that you make a distinction between that and Jews. because here's the thing, okay? Zoran Mamdani has a higher favorability rating in the United States among Jews than Bibi Netanyahu does. I think 65% of American Jews disagree with the approach that the Israeli government has right now. They don't disagree with you, but they completely turn on and think electoral perspective in which the recent history is only one data point in 2,000 years of history as it relates to what it means to be a Jew.
I think this is, I don't know. This was stupid. I thought there would be more back and forth. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of corny. I thought it would be more, you know, little. It's like, this is the thing where this is my thing, right? Whether you like Nick or hate him, at the very least, I thought that, he was a man that, he would like stick to what he believes or his foundations. When he flip-flops, when he goes back and forth, and when he's not strong in his convictions, it shows me that, I think he's fake, right? He's a liar. He's just doing it in essence to rage bait you. So he doesn't really truly believe the shit he says. Right. So I could care less about this, but I don't know.
I think it's
what's your final thoughts? What are your thoughts?
It's hard to have a podcast, I guess, because it's like you want to get people to come on or whatever, but at the same time, like you say, I don't ever see me being too big because I'm gonna keep it 100 in my opinion. I'm always gonna keep it 100. If I like you and you come on, it'll be cool. It'll be a nice conversation. If I don't like you, it's probably gonna be a long day, and that's just what it is with me. And I don't have that. I don't have that. What these people have to where they can just go. I'm not a get with. I don't go along to get along. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we on the same page, we're on the same page. If we on a different page, we're on a different page. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, we don't have to be disrespectful to each other, but I can disagree with you, and it's too tamed. It was just too tamed, and he's just smug. He's too smug. That'd be my thing. When people are smug, I have a problem with being docile. You know what I'm saying? It's like you come at me, I'm gonna match your energy. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. If you're coming off disrespectful, and a lot of people, they will be disrespectful to you, and then hide behind they hide behind being nice or whatever, or being respectful. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. So you try to say you're smart enough to know everything you say and doing on one hand, but you don't know when you're being disrespectful to somebody. That's my thing. You know what I'm saying? I have more smoke for these people, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it. Brennan, thank you for being here. I love your opposing opinions, your thoughts. Right, so mad respect to it, my brother. All right, Laughing Man, thank you for stopping by. Bars, thank you, my brother. All right, Ethan was here. Thank you, my brother. But yeah, it's cool. All right, that is it for tonight. Bars, thank you for stopping by, my brother.
Man.
Later.
Peace, man. Later.
Guys, thank you for being here. Final thoughts, another day in America. Exactly. Another day in America. Guys, you guys are amazing.